Siri, hey Siri, set a timer for 15 minutes.
Very
Hey Siri, set a timer for 15 minutes. I need nuggets and I need wings. Containers and wings. You can do it. Appreciate it. How much? No good. Fried one is good. I didn't need the fries. Interesting. Probably could put them in the oven again and it'll be fine. Alright, thank you. Appreciate it. I need to find another maybe you need 5 minutes. Order the nuggets. Yeah, these are nuggets. You got both. You got tenders and nuggets. Alright. I didn't mean to. No worries. No problem. doing?
Hello, everyone.
I mean, technically there is less of them.
Every
True.
every instance of this, you can find some defense.
Well, but that's the point. No, but that's important. That's the point. You're talking about there's this essence, but there are violations of this essence, but you wouldn't say that it is immoral to not have two legs, right? You would never say that.
Yeah, it's not immoral.
Sure. We would both agree that, yeah, it's not conform to the ideal of a man, maybe.
But it is a fact
Morality
that they
requires volition.
they are less able.
Say that one more time.
like,
Morality
you don't-
requires volition, right? Is that what you said?
You don't like
Morality requires
choose to be fucking gay,
volition.
dude.
Well, so and this is what I mean. So it's less bad for someone who's already inclined toward gay behavior.
I wouldn't say
for
that for
someone who's
everybody.
more open to it. It's less bad for them than somebody who's not inclined to then do it. It's worse. For
Why-
that person. In
so-
both
so let's-
instances, it's wrong.
No, you
Like,
really
what
cannot
is
choose
gay
it.
behavior
It
for someone like
happens.
me who is like intersex?
That's a great
your
question.
condition?
What is gay behavior at that point?
What's your condition?
He just said he's
There's not
intersex.
there's not a single intersex.
That's his condition.
It's not either. You know,
It doesn't matter what his condition is, he's intersex. Whatever his condition is. No, there's genotype and there's phenotype. The phenotype is what matters for morality, what matters for human action.
Every single intersex.
There is a medical category for
categorized
someone to be
male.
considered intersex though. But it's not in my opinion, fair to say that, oh, you could be intersex if you just so believe it. No.
Pardon, I
just-
didn't hear
I
that,
don't
mate.
Like, it's like traps and femboys have nothing to do with being intersex, for example. They're just-
People are usually
I'm not saying I'm a
People-
trap or a femboy, I've never said that.
Don't use the term trap, that's a slur.
I'm just saying that as an
Yeah.
example.
It's like a cringe word, dude.
It's
There are
inherently
many-
a negative term for trans people.
There are
Look, you're either-
different.
you're either a man
there-
or a
no,
woman.
no. There are different genotypical conditions that could lead you to be defined as, you know, man or woman, but then you kind of decide, that's not really what they were at birth, so that they get assigned intersex later. That is not that uncommon. It's not the common. It's not normal.
Like, I'm never fucking having kids, so like,
Yeah.
like what is moral? Like, should I just be chaste because any sex I have is not for the, like procreation in like a biblical sense, or
This guy doesn't believe in the Bible either. He just says God,
The
so he doesn't
question-
know.
The question is
Like, I'm a
is
Catholic.
whether or not the question is whether or not it's like possible at all. Like, so you're a man.
it
or
is
woman.
possible to have sex. Like, yeah, you can have sex. Like what?
Like,
What
well,
does that mean?
like the question here is that, okay, so they can't procreate, they're intersex, what does gay mean for them? And because gay means something different from them, is it more or less moral for them? Is it immoral for them at all to have sex, I guess is the question.
I mean, you man.
Thank you,
or
Snake,
woman,
that is
it's not-
exactly
it's
what I
not.
meant.
It's not
I gotcha.
gay if it's a woman and a man.
Well, I'm not
That's
asking you if
gay.
it's gay, I'm asking you if it's
But I'm
immoral.
not a woman or a man, like medically speaking.
Well, medically speaking, you're one or the other.
He's, no,
No,
they're not.
medically speaking, I'm in between, like medically. Like, it's a very small amount of the population that has these conditions, but it's there.
Yeah, we're talking
I
about a
don't think
very
you see
small
the
particular
small or
amount of
large
people.
gamete.
I'm telling you this just as a fact. There's not a single intersex condition that's
Yeah, well,
not
there's
identifiable as
multiple.
male or woman.
There's multiple intersex conditions. That's what I was just explaining to you.
That-
Like I said, there's a no.
Wait,
Hold on. I know more about.
You didn't listen
I know.
to the full.
No, you
sentence.
didn't listen. You
There's
didn't
not a
listen to
single
what I said.
condition which is not
Yeah.
identifiable as male or and female.
Cover.
Yes, there is.
Didn't
There's
understand.
lots actually.
There are.
Playboys don't have sex. What are you talking about?
Most people with like
It's
an
the
intersex
difference.
condition that like affects the genitalia, they get like
Yes.
surgical procedures done on them when they are like infants in the hospital, but it's actually not like there are conditions where you can basically kind of have like a bit of both. Like there's a intersex condition where you can be born with a dick, but you actually have a functioning uterus on the inside. And you can get reconstructive surgery to have a vagina later. That's like properly functioning, and you'll never have kids if you have sex with a penis. But if you have sex with the like medically reconstructed like uterus and vagina, then you can have kids. And that's not what I have, by the way. Don't worry.
Only one
Yeah, there's
ever
also
works.
a thing like a genetic mutation, right? And that is completely natural.
Yeah, but sometimes like neither work.
So this is what I was trying to explain earlier. There's a difference between genotype and phenotype. There are different genotypes that, yes, you could say, well, this
Let's just all
one,
agree that gender is a social construct.
you can have different genotypes that are all X chromosomes. You could have some genotypes that have X and Y, etc., whatever. And you could say, well, if it's all X, therefore it's woman. If it's X and Y, it's man. You can say that in a genotypical sense, but that doesn't really have much bearing in the phenotypical sense and how you actually present.
Welcome home.
Now, Snack.
I don't like the smell of your
Just try to understand
cologne.
that these conditions are also very exceptional.
They are.
So we're
That doesn't
dealing
mean that
with a
they don't
very
exist, though.
exceptional situation, right?
Correct. We are. We're
like
talking
we're an
about like
exception.
less than
I-
1%. We're talking about 1% of 1%.
You guys understand that this is a very exceptional,
guys-
valid.
But they exist. But they still exist.
We exist, and like I would like to know where I
Toy
stand in your morality. Is it immoral for me to have sex
You
with a
guys-
dude, or is it immoral for me to have sex with a woman? Like,
Right. You still haven't. You
don't
still haven't
get it.
answered the question. You still. You know. Hold on. We're gonna
Well,
hold you to
are
that.
you a
You still
man-
haven't
are you
answered the
a
They're
man?
question.
building in our intel.
Are you a man or a woman?
no, I'm intersex, dude.
Neither. They're
Also,
neither.
wait, are you a man or a woman?
No, like medically, I'm neither.
SCDs.
Guys, get down to our intel now. They're building in our intel.
So medically,
Cover.
medically, you have a
can't-
condition
you
that
can't-
either, affects
Morally,
your male development or
morally,
female
your system can't account for something that actually exists in objective reality because you don't understand the difference between phenotype and genotype.
Well, I'm saying objectively, what happens here is.
I'm saying objectively, this person is
Sorry,
intersex.
true
You can have-
hermaphroditism is like very rare in like actual intersex
Yeah.
stuff. Again, not what I have. But I want to keep it as general as
Being
possible because it's more
objectively
like
equal,
intersex
deliberately
conditions than just like what I have.
What's your point? That's not even true.
So are you a man or a woman?
Why are you asking
Wait,
a question
you
that you
know,
already
I'm
answered?
Reflex a Caber hit? What the fuck, Val?
All right.
Well,
you know
said,
what? Let's
so
do
your
this. No,
answer
no, no,
is-
no, no,
your
no.
answer
Shut
is,
up.
Well, it's
Shut up.
complicated
Shut up.
because
Shut
of
up.
all these medical disorders.
No, no, no.
What
Shut
kind of
up.
coach spaghetti is that?
I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna get us back on track.
With the fucking flamethrower?
Let me get us back on track. Cover. Let's just say for a minute, you don't believe that this person is intersex. You believe that they are a man or a woman. Okay, fine. That is your belief. Let's say I give you somebody who every doctor, let's say 99 out of 100 doctors, let's keep it simple, 99 out of 100 doctors agree this person is neither male or female. What does your system do to account for that?
You have no such thing.
I'm giving you a hypothetical.
Hermaphroditism
you
is
have no
a
such
real
thing.
condition that
You are-
happens.
you are
It's just
pushing a
extremely
line.
rare.
You say I have no such... Well, first of all, you say I have no such thing, but these things do exist in real life. But I'm telling you right now that it's a hypothetical. I'm saying if your morality, because your morality is based on what you call human nature, I'm saying let me prevent
people
you...
come to my neighborhood and they never say, hello, neighbor.
I'm saying let me give you a scenario to test your morality. If this scenario were to occur, how would your morality adapt to it? That is my question.
Mr. Peterson,
So,
what are
wait,
you
so-
doing here?
So if we invent a magical
Peterson.
third thing, which isn't
No,
real,
not that, Peterson.
It's not. It is real for one.
it's not.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think it's real or not. It doesn't even matter if you think it's real or not. I'm asking you. This is a hypothetical. You presented.
Randy's room from toy store.
I care about what's real, and what's real is that every single intersex
So you understand? You understand? No, 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 no. Shut up. You understand that a moral? Shut the fuck up. You understand that a moral system doesn't work if it can't adapt to novel scenarios. You understand that, right?
brick wall.
Well, you have no novel scenario. This just doesn't.
I just gave you one! I just gave you one! It's a hypothetical.
This is fake. It's fake.
That's a novel scenario. I'm giving you a hypothetical. If you give me...
All your NPCs, I can't wait to start killing all of you for your NPCs.
If you give me a hypothetical scenario...
You're just denying.
If you give me a hypothetical scenario, if I have a robust moral system, I will be able to say, well, I believe this aspect is good, this aspect is bad, here's what I would do in that novel scenario. That's what moral systems do. Moral systems inform human ethics.
And just think that, oh, all these people aren't real. I could just start killing every one of them. They would not have any thought or any impact on my life.
Dude, you get it.
I've met people
This
who
guy
like
gets
that.
it.
It's
Like,
really
people
sad.
who genuinely think the world is real, and that just like it wouldn't matter if they would kill people.
If you're intersex, you have a disorder.
I'm just saying, I think just
female development.
screwdriver and
Cover, can you...
Time.
Cover, can you answer the damn question? I gave you a novel scenario. What would you do in that situation?
It's like a gibberish question.
If you have a moral system that is robust, it should not be hard to answer what you would do in a novel situation.
Like what if someone's like a fucking like Ken doll?
I mean, I gave you the thing. I gave you another.
I'm a Kendall down there.
Cover. No, hold on. Cover. No. Hold on. Let's move away from it. Actually, let me give you.
And then
Let me give you a real.
Whatever I have to do with the misses, I have to get some Play-Doh.
What if there's
Cover.
a third thing between Hinder and
Cover. We have not even talked about my moral.
It's not real.
Cover. I will be happy to talk about. Cover. I will be happy to talk about my moral system later if you want to. But we have gotten so far away from that point at this point. I'm still testing your moral system. That's the point of this hypothetical. But you know what? Let's move on. Hold on. Let me finish. I did, and you didn't answer the other question I gave you about Marmite. You didn't bother.
I did answer, you just don't like it because you'd rather...
Oh no, he did answer the question about Marmite, and it was basically that since it's food, it doesn't contravene whatever the fuck he means by human nature, because human nature is to eat food.
That's right, you're right, I forgot about that. So then what are you defining as human nature? What are you defining as what determines human nature? Because some part of you is basing it off of what the most amount of people do.
We feed livestock food that would taste good to them, right? Healthy food, right?
Yeah, we do not give a fuck about how it tastes to the cows, mate.
I think,
No. Think about it.
Said it like this.
They taste good because of what we give them. We give them stuff that end up making them taste delicious when cooked.
Oh, make the cows
they also just taste good.
Natural philosophy is about
The cows, the chickens, they all taste good when you eat them, right?
Cover, I will talk about my philosophy as soon as you...
People that eat delicious food.
As soon as we get substantiate yours.
All these people eat delicious food.
I'll talk about mine first if you really want to, but you're probably not going to talk about yours anyway.
Well, you haven't distinguished yours from mine. You just have a weird.
Yeah, because I haven't had the.
Would you eat?
Because I haven't had the opportunity yet. No, because I haven't had the opportunity yet. Because you keep talking the fuck over me.
You said what harms people. But wait a minute, what harms people? You have the essence.
I told you if you want me to, I can go ahead and go into that. But we were on the other topic. You didn't ask about it afterwards. I can answer it now if you want.
Well, so you think what harms people is bad,
correct?
And what makes people feel good is what's good.
Well, it's more complicated than that a little
Not
bit.
necessarily, yeah,
But I am a utilitarian. I believe that what leads to the most benefit for the most people is more moral.
Okay. Well, then we go back.
I have a different moral
to the
system,
question.
but I think this is interesting, and I would like to talk to you more about utilitarianism.
Hell yeah, for sure.
Sunken in water all day, why does that hurt my lungs, but fish love it?
Oh, I could smell you from outside the bathroom.
Because one of these is something that the human body is adopted to. One of them
Maybe
isn't.
go jump in a lake.
The human body can breathe water. That's the reason.
Wait a minute. Wait, are you telling me that?
So let's go back. So let's go.
Are different than humans?
I never said they weren't. Where did I say that they were the same?
No, so asking which faction he would join. What faction would you join for real if you were in New Vegas?
I'm just confused because you said
NCR.
You said no, goodness isn't rooted in nature.
I'm gonna be so for
It's
real.
not rooted in that.
I would just join the Brotherhood of Steel.
Cover. In what way is there a moral or immorality associated with drowning? We're not talking about morality. We're talking about a thing that you're not supposed to do because it kills you.
Morality
what are the living
is
people living
the
have to do
good
with
combined
any
with
of this?
volition.
But like,
so
if
there's no
you fall
volition
What is
into a
good?
hole
but
accidentally,
it's to
and
demonstrate
you drown,
what
that's
good
not like
is,
good or
what
bad
is.
morally. That's just like it happened.
What if you just
Like, it's
pushed
not
over a
good,
tree?
but
Would
it's
anybody
also
hear
like
it?
not a moral issue. It's just
Like I could
happened.
give you a
So
scenario. No, cover. Hold on. Let me give you an example. Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Would you guys
Hold
eat
on.
the delicious brand of candy called Cummies?
Oh my God, Cat, you're so annoying. Cover. It depends on the situation.
I would eat
They are vanilla flavored gummies in the shape of tadpole sperms.
the vanilla flavored. That's pretty good.
I don't know about that. I've been chewing on
Would
the
you eat
Werther's
them?
Originals lately because you
Yeah, I'd
get
probably
more
eat
calories
gummies if
per
they were
second.
vanilla flavored. That
You
sounds
have like a lower
good,
calorie
kind of.
per second ratio.
All right. So let's say
what?
let's say there's
We
somebody
know.
who's threatening your wife and daughter. Would it be wrong to drown them? Because it's against human nature.
That'd probably be an overreaction.
Would it be wrong to drown somebody before they kill your wife and
Like,
daughter?
if you're about to kill your wife and daughter and you drown them, that's obviously like a good
it be
thing
wrong to
because they
eat
had the
gummies?
volition to start the encounter.
I would
I'm saying it's a credible
wrong
threat.
to
Like they have a
eat
knife or
spurs?
whatever. It doesn't matter.
Wait, you mean defense? It's like self-defense?
Correct.
self-defense.
Now you're drowning them. You're drowning them in self-defense.
Well, so I'll turn the question on you. Do you think it's a good thing that anybody
They
has
be
to
in our
drown?
intel, matey.
What was the
I
question?
think it was good when Hitler died.
Do you think
Sometimes it's good when people die.
Do you think it's a good thing that anyone had to drown?
That's
If
controversial.
Hitler drowned before he got into power and did the Holocaust, I would be very happy about that.
I think there are people that if they drowned, it would be a better thing for the world. Yes, I
What
think
if
there would be
you
more.
were more
I think there are moral
torture?
situations where the world is better off if people drown. Yes.
Complicated.
So if you
Way more
were,
complicated because
you wouldn't be, suppose Hitler drowned, you actually wouldn't be in a position to know
Different
that
opinions about a
future
person.
possibility.
Like
so it
a
would
6-inch
tragic.
clone of Hitler,
But
would
like
you
in a
torture
scenario
him?
in which like omnipotent view, I'm God and I just drown the motherfucker. That would
We
be
can
a
even
good
take
thing.
we can even take omnipotence out of it.
God
Though.
did
No,
that.
this is
Yeah,
important.
he
No,
flooded
this is
everybody.
important. Hold on, this is important because morality isn't based on omnipotence, right? We can agree at least that like
I'm
morality is
assuming
based
most
on.
of you here would end up torturing the tiny Hitler.
Most of us would agree, I think,
give
that
off that
morality is based on
I
our
hope the
best.
torture goblin, but it's just like Hitler made him.
Tiny clone of Hitler, it's 6 inches tall.
It's based on the best information we have at the time, right? It's based on reasonable expectations.
He plays Tiny Hitler thing again.
There's a reasonable expectation that drowning Hitler would be a better thing for the world. You know, once we have that
What about the
counterfactual,
clone?
sure.
This is silly. You can't recognize that it's a bad situation that anybody has to drown.
Okay, he's halfway through the Holocaust. You drown
Why is it-
Hitler. Is that bad or good?
Right.
Well, wait.
Define halfway. What do you mean?
Wait, is
As
it
in you
bad
could
or
save
good?
stuff, like you could save 3 million
He's
Jews.
got to 3 million.
Yeah, you could save 3 million Jews if you drown Hitler. Is that a good thing? Yeah, it's a trolley problem.
Trolley problem for Hitler.
It is, it's a
It's
trolley
a
problem.
but like you can
Well, wait
save
a minute,
3
wait a minute, wait a
million
minute.
Jews by
Wait a
drowning
minute.
one Hitler.
Drown one Hitler, save 3 million
tiny
Jews.
clone Hitler.
You could save 3 trillion microscopic organisms if you kill Hitler.
Do we put
Why
more?
wouldn't you
No,
kill
do we
tiny
put
Hitler?
moral
That's why I
equivalence
have
of
a difference in
microscopic
my
organisms to
utilitarian
humans?
philosophy.
Well, why?
Because
wait a
I
minute.
think,
Wait a minute. Why
Like
would
things
you
that
not
are more
put
similar to
moral
people
equivalence?
have more moral weight and value to them.
I don't
And it's
disagree with
because
that at all.
it's
Wait a minute.
not just like
Kill
people, it's
tiny
like
Hitler.
what else is similar to
He
people.
did the same
Like
thing.
puppies,
It's
dogs,
still
are all
Hitler.
mammals, right? But fish, I don't really give a fuck about fish.
Are you
Happy.
telling me? Are you
Hold
telling
on, I want to
me
talk to
that
Happy for a second. Shut the
it's
fuck up. Happy, I agree with you.
relative
Look, man, I care more about fish and animals than I do any of you yahoos on here.
I love Jim sound effect.
Like,
I know when
like, I
the
don't have
ocean
a dog,
starts
and that's because dogs
rising
be like
and
people.
all the buildings start crumbling, cats and fish are gonna be on my side.
I just like some fish.
Like all fish.
Coelacanth's a bitch.
Okay, for now.
You know, what if they identify as a fish? They felt like a fish, and then they go rub themselves in the pool.
All I
No
know
one's
is I
fucking
just...
doing that, bro. What? And like in the hypothetical scenario, someone thinks they're a fish and starts throwing themselves in a pool. You know what we do with those sorts of people? We put them in a
Put
mental
them in a mental
institution.
asylum. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, we don't do that, otherwise we throw Kanye
Because
in
they're
there.
harming themselves
And why don't
based
they
on a
do that
belief
with
that is not reflected in reality.
Why don't they do
But
that? with
Kanye is a
trans
gay
people?
fish.
Gay people.
Kanye is a gay fish, and we should give him the right to throw himself into a pool.
Cover, let me challenge one more thing here. So, is it in human nature to drive a car?
That naming.
What do you mean?
That naming.
I meant, so,
the
yeah,
foot
no,
is
hold on.
What would
how do you
Kepler
drive
do
a
if I
car?
kept him?
How do you drive a car? How do you drive
No, let me clarify the question real
Yeah,
quick, right? So, your moral system,
Would
as
it
far
be
as I
like a
understand it,
Holocaust on mice?
as far as I understand it, your moral system is based on what fits the
Because they
human
already
essence the
did
best,
that,
is
that's
the most
called
moral.
mouse, my friend.
What about the human essence allows us, inherently in our natural form, what about it makes it so that we are supposed to drive cars? What about it makes it moral?
Well, so how many pedals are in a car?
Well, it's designed for that though, right?
How many pedals?
Damn.
There's 2 pedals in a car, but you typically only use 1 foot for it.
That's
Actually,
true,
3
that's
if it's
true.
manual.
So I have a
Okay,
question.
again,
Why are there not? Why are there
Manuals
not
for like
200
macho
pedals
gay
in a
people
car?
though. You know, like
Why
the
are there
really
not-
pub guys with like handlebar mustaches and like leather
If-
belts and shit.
If there
Why
were
aren't there 100 pedals in a car?
If there were 100 pedals in a car, would it make it immoral to drive that car if only 3 of those pedals worked and you knew
Listen,
which
buddy,
pedals
the
it was?
leather club's 3
immoral,
blocks
but
down.
Is that a good car or a bad car? If the car
I don't know.
has 100
But
pedals.
Depends.
Well, what
There's
if
a
you
lot of
have
different
100
ways that
legs?
Useless pedal.
If you have a dude with 100 legs and he has 100 pedals, like, and they all work and do different things, like,
Well,
what's wrong
so
with
wait,
that?
are we? So okay.
But no,
hold on, I gotta-
He
I
just
have a-
gave up 98 of his legs for the people that are crippled.
Hold on, I have an example. So the drummer from Def
That's
Leppard,
morally
right?
evil. He should give up his 98 legs.
So the drummer from
Yeah,
the drummer from
more legs for
He
us.
needs to share.
We
the
need to
drummer
see for
from
means of
Def
legs.
Leppard. The drummer from Def
Give up
Leppard,
98 of
right?
those legs to people in
Jesus
wheelchairs
Christ.
or people with walking issues.
Yeah.
The drummer
I feel
from
like
Def
that's not
Leppard
gonna
lost an
allow
arm.
it to be-
The drummer
Just
from
not
Def
trying hard
Leppard
enough.
lost an arm, and so he had to use his feet. He had to use foot pedals to activate a lot of stuff on stage. That drum set is much worse, much more bad, whatever you want to call it, than a regular drum set for most people. But it was better for him. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, Casino got no arm.
Right. Okay, so we agree with that. So if a 100 pedal
Wait,
car, let's
so
just
wait,
say, was
so you
no, hold
so
on.
you finally agree that it's relative to the essence, good and bad? It's relative.
It's not relative to any essence, it's relative to the utility of the operation. For one of these people, this car makes more sense. For another type of person, this car makes more sense. Neither is more moral than the other. One is just higher utility than the other. That's all.
Wait. So what you've discovered is good and bad. So morality is when we apply volition to this equation.
You keep saying
apply the
volition.
will.
What do you mean by
What
volition?
is
Like the
true, by
act
the
of
way,
doing
there is
something.
actual video evidence of sniffing kids in exit pageants.
So-
Like a
while they're on
choice,
the
like
block.
volition is a word we all know, I think.
Let's take my eyes.
I want to
for
know what his
example.
definition of volition
So-
is. Like, what
so
makes
my
what
eyes-
makes it good or bad? Yeah, go ahead.
The eyes are for seeing, right? It's perfectly fine to describe my eyes as bad, because without glasses I can't really see. Glasses are
That,
good.
but that
I'm
doesn't.
your
But
man.
that is not
Why are you wearing
immoral.
glasses?
Your
Shouldn't you be
eyes-
wearing glasses? They're not natural. They go
But your
against the
eyes
essence
aren't
of man.
immoral. We're not talking about. No, stop. No, let me talk about this for a second. No,
I
shut
literally
up.
just took.
No, I know your point. No, I already know your fucking point. Yeah, I know, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more because no, I'm gonna talk over your
Punches in our
point.
base. There's somebody who lost the World Cup in our base. Fucking kill them.
So my
Is it
eyesight-
immoral? Is it immoral to have bad eyes?
Yes.
No, answer my question before you go on your stupid little diatribe. Is it immoral to have bad eyes?
Sheep, he's
so
literally
my
been
eyes-
convicted for rape. That is literally a thing he's been
so
convicted for.
my eyes, they don't really see that well unless I have my glasses. It's perfectly acceptable
Wonderful.
to describe
Great.
my eyesight as bad. Right?
Sure.
Now, why
But
is
there's
it
a
not,
difference
why
between,
is
like,
not,
it doesn't fit a
why is it
utility
not-
and, like, it's
why
not
is
moral.
it not immoral for my eyesight to be bad.
It's
Because
not
I
immoral.
had no
'Cause it
choice.
just-
Because I had no choice. It would be wrong
No,
if I
hold on,
blinded
hold on,
myself.
no, I can challenge that, I can challenge that. Let's say that you choose to work in a job, let's say you choose to work in a job where there is
Grandma
risk to your
Latina not
life and
having
limb,
fun.
right? So like, for example, it would be bad in general, right, if you had one less leg
Snack,
or
I
one
think
less
you're
arm.
retarded. Snack, I think you're
I have no
retarded. You
pee-pee.
can't-
Oh, I gotta vote yes then.
Okay, explain how I'm retarded. That was my example retarded.
It was such an easy example here. That the fact
I'm
that you're
challenging-
trying to push
No!
back on it is ridiculous.
I'm pushing
Let's be
back on it
honest.
because I'm
I
no,
would
I'm
gladly
pushing
get
back
rid of
on
my
it because I'm
pee-pee.
challenging your
Not have
moral
fun. Oh, it's too
idea.
big.
That's the whole
Literally,
point.
all I did was just like define what good.
Yes,
and
I
bad
know,
is.
and I
gave
think
you
it's
an
retarded, so
example.
I'm trying to give you a pushback and see how you answer it.
Well, so
You're not-
think
you're
you
no-
think
now you're
ours-
just-
Let's not resort to ad hominem.
He's dodging
not
my
very
fucking
intelligent,
argument because he
but-
doesn't want to listen.
I
Yeah, because
literally
he's
told
arguing
you,
in bad faith. Like we've been told repeatedly, he's just trolling.
It's not immoral to have bad eyesight. You guys
I
think,
agree
you
with
guys
you.
Think, you
I
guys
agree
think
with you.
trolling? You guys think trolling is just like
Cover, if you're not
making a
afraid, then you'll
Bro,
let me
repeat this
explain
again.
and answer my
I've been
question.
muted for this before. Both of them.
All right, what's your let's hear your question. I'm sure it's
Let's
gonna be
say
really good.
that let's say you have the option to work in a job, right? You have an option to work in a job that puts you at risk to lose your limbs in some way or another.
Careful, Silver. You're about to get muted too.
So we would agree that having one leg in general is probably worse than having two legs for most actions that are designed for humans to do, walking around, driving a car, etc., blah blah blah. It makes more sense in general that you would want to have two. It is a better option than having one leg. We would agree with that, right?
Well, why would we agree with that? Because that's what you don't understand.
We agree with that because that's how humans usually are, which you are describing as essence. I understand that.
Okay. Well, so you agree that good and bad is relative to a thing. That's
No, he's
Well-
like conforming to your beliefs to make an argument.
Correct. Thank you, Happy. I'm glad you understand what I'm trying to do.
He said, he said we both agree, but it's you don't agree.
Well, no, I do agree that it is better to have two legs than one for most
But,
things.
like,
I agree
there's
with
his
that.
own
What I don't,
reasons.
exactly. I don't agree that it's a moral issue. That's the difference here. So let's get back to this for a
Well,
second.
you haven't heard what I told you makes it.
You're still running from it. You're not letting me finish because you're scared of the answer.
If you cut your legs off, that's wrong. That's immoral. You shouldn't cut your legs off. Unless there's unless there's greater good that would be done. Like maybe it's gangrenous. You have no choice.
What is a greater
You have to
good?
cut it
What is-
off.
Okay. But that's against.
Can
But
I
hold on,
ask
hold
a
on, hold on.
question?
Well, look, can I comment on that real quick though?
You ask yours first.
Okay, so you
You
cut
got
off
shit
your
done.
leg to save your leg from gangrene. How is that
Nice
conforming
shot.
to human essence? Human essence is death, right?
So once again,
Nice cock.
it's because you have no choice.
You do have a choice. You can
You
choose
either
to die.
do this. You either do this or you
Humans
die.
all these technology stuff, so we would be able to avoid.
I'm about
all
to
the-
orange justice all over your ass.
Just interrupt our lives.
Yeah, why don't we add the orange justice taunt with the Valve is
So-
back.
Is there an orange justice taunt?
So if we're going based,
There's gonna be.
so if we're going based on human nature, right? We're going based on the human essence. In most of human history, if you got a gangrenous leg, you would just
Don't
be dead.
move that sentry. Keep
That
that
would be
sentry
more
there.
moral to
Don't
cut it
listen to
off.
John.
I'll let you think that one through, buddy.
You don't
I'm
wanna
asking no. I'm
Be
asking you the
free like a
question.
wind ram.
just
I'll
say
let you
where
figure it
want
out.
the higher.
Figure out what. This is your system. I'm challenging
running
your
at it.
system. Answer it.
I think you can get it. I think you can know the answer.
I don't because I don't understand your system. That's why I'm challenging it to understand it better.
If Agent Orange,
He's
Orange-
asking
Agent
like
Yellow-
why in your view, in your moral system, you would think that. He obviously thinks it would like his own thing about it.
Yeah.
That's not exactly what he's saying. Because he has a different moral system and he's just trying to figure out yours.
Correct. Like, I would cut off the leg. I agree with you. I would cut off the leg. I think that's the more moral thing. But I have a rationale for what it is. I want to know what your rationale is.
intelligence.
This is the issue: is that your moral system lets any lunatic. who
I
just
haven't
kinda
even
wants
told
to-
you. No, I haven't even told you what my
Wants to get on my
moral
bed
system
with me.
is. So you can't even say
Yeah,
that yet.
I kind of don't want to hear it.
I know, that's why we're talking about yours, because you keep talking about yours.
Yeah, that's why we're asking about your moral system.
He's only diverting the mud because he's trying to challenge me on that.
He asked a really good question.
Because you're dodging.
If you have a gangrenous limb, you know, why should you cut that off? That's,
right.
That's a good question. I think you know the answer. You know the answer.
Kill you, like, you want to.
I don't know the answer in your moral system.
He does know the answer for himself. He wants to know your rationale for giving that answer.
Correct.
Well, he knows the rationale because he can't reason otherwise.
Give us the rationale then, if it's so fucking simple.
Nice shot. You don't get to enjoy it at all. You don't get to
how many times do I have to say?
It's crazy how much you want to dodge this question. It doesn't matter if you've said it before, say it again then. Explain it to me.
You might as well not even call this morale because you might just be depressed and not care about anything at all.
Let me tell you.
You might just be depressed.
Humans have a certain nature.
Okay, what are you defining as nature?
Can I ask you a question about morality? Can I ask you a moral hypothetical?
He doesn't like hypotheticals. Remember, I gave him a hypothetical and he ran.
It's not even really a hypothetical. It's probably only a hypothetical for him because he's most likely like a coward IRL.
I also, you know, said, let's say like Marmite is like 1 in 10,000. He said, well, it's not immoral. I'm like, well, what if only 1 in 10,000 humans eat it and it's not something that you naturally would be predisposed to in most cases?
Is it moral to join the army?
That's a great question.
Yeah, of course it is.
Because you're gonna kill people, you can get hurt, you can destroy your essence. Is it moral to join the army?
And better yet, you're destroying other people's essences.
Like chauvinistic like this and hate gay people and whatnot. You guys love the fucking military, but you do way more harm joining the military and killing 10,000 Yemenis kids or some shit than anyone ever has whilst fucking a butt.
I don't think it's good to kill civilians.
Why?
Yeah, but like the military does that. Is it moral to join the military? There are other functions of a military.
Well, yeah, they shouldn't do that though.
Yeah, but is it moral to join the military?
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
You think it's moral to join the military?
Yeah, it's moral to join.
Why is it moral to join the military when you know you're going to be harming people? Sometimes, like, yeah, they may be militants, but they're often like some country you've never been to.
More often than not, when you're employed in the military, you are not killing people that are militants, you are killing civilians.
Have you ever lived with Muslims?
Well, you shouldn't be killing civilians.
I lived with Muslims for 3 years, so why don't we talk about that?
Let's not right now. Let's go back to that.
I don't really care.
Oh, are they really? No, I lived with the real Muslims, man.
You shouldn't ignore this, by the way.
Okay.
This is very important.
The ones that killed you.
Like I've had a Muslim try and murder me, but I don't judge Muslims based on that. He was a Palestinian man and he was a meth head. I blamed it on the meth head.
You don't know these people.
No, I do. I had a Palestinian man try and murder me because he was high on meth.
Until you've had these people shooting at you,
met
you don't
really
know these
good,
people.
nice Muslims.
See now, Ray Gun is a great example of. Ray Gun here's a great example of why it's perfectly moral to join the military, because sometimes people are shooting at you, and sometimes people want to shoot people who aren't shooting at anybody. And you gotta shoot.
I tell you what, buddy.
Yeah, but that's...
Yeah, but the American military is consistently shot people who aren't shooting at anyone.
What they're gonna do now, and they all said, we're going back to Kuwait.
Sentry down.
You're basing your morality on justifying your own because of the others?
No, morality's based on essence.
Okay, well I think it's our essence as people to not, like, kill other people. I think Jesus was pretty clear about that we should be kind to our neighbors. So, like, why is the military any exception to that?
Very biblical principle, by the way.
Hey, you shouldn't kill people.
Yeah, but like, if you're going into the military, you're kind of accepting the fact you're going to end up killing people. So why is it moral to join the military?
Because you can't compare things that are voluntary to involuntary. So you voluntarily join.
You voluntarily join the military, and then you voluntarily kill people because you join the military voluntarily.
So you voluntarily join the military.
What are you gonna use? Hurtful pronouns? I've got some bad words for you.
So
I mean, joining the military is more. Joining the military is more voluntary than being gay.
You've terribly
Damn, son.
the military. Right, and now you have faith in your military.
UK is being taken over because of people like you. Why join the military?
Gay isn't like
So you have some faith that.
For the record, I don't think joining the military is immoral. I think we need a military, and I think we need to have a presence overseas. But there's a good question about the morality of it. I think that's what we're talking about.
And so, if you find yourself in a combat
As someone who's not
situation,
American, I think joining the American military is pretty fucking immoral.
punch gets it. It's
I don't
fight
agree
or
with
die.
that, but that's okay.
Right now, yeah.
Depends on the reason.
Right now, yeah.
Depends on where you're going.
I don't think there's really been a proper moral war since like World War II. Maybe with, like, a
Iraq
few
and Afghanistan were
exceptions.
moral wars. They weren't very well fought, but they were
If you
moral
guys
wars.
like went in and like killed the motherfucker and actually like won or achieved anything, maybe.
How was the
I mean, we did. We just sucked at nation building
There
afterwards.
is a soft jihad going all over Europe right now.
That communism would actually.
See, I think this is the
Dude, I don't
issue
give a
with
fuck
you
about
guys.
Europe.
Is you guys
I'm not European.
think-
Why would you
guys
give a
think
fuck about Europe? Why would
politically,
you?
don't think,
Why would you be in favor
logic.
of a foreign state invading another country based off the?
I am
factor
thinking
that
logically, you just
they
don't
want
like
to
it.
alter the state?
Asia.
No, you described you
South
don't
America.
that
You have
morality
not
is based
engaged
on
with
ethics.
any of my tests whatsoever. I have given you
don't
multiple
like-
tests to your
you
system,
don't-
and you haven't
you
engaged
don't
with a
like-
single one.
You don't like that morality is based on essence, and then you know.
I don't
try
know
to-
what essence means. Define what essence is. What is the essence of man? I've
It's what-
literally
it's what
asked you this
makes-
over and over.
Essence is
Trying
what
to
makes
make
a
a
thing
point
to
by
be
some-
what
by
it is.
Okay,
the
so a
fact that
man
you
has
can't-
two legs. That's what it. I'm asking
The fact that
questions. So
you can't understand that.
I'm
is a
I'm
testament to
trying.
your
No.
stupidity.
No, the fact that I can't understand is a testament to the fact that you're not making any sense. So is the essence of man that they have two legs? Is that part of the essence?
Yeah, we got two legs.
Okay, is the essence of man is that there's only male and female? Is that part of the essence that you believe?
There's only male and female.
Okay, what other aspects of man are part of the essence? What else is in the essence? Is eating Marmite part of our essence?
Well, eating, what is it? Carbs.
Hold on, eating, sure.
Vegemite is part of an Australian's essence.
Yeah, eating Marmite is the essence of
Eating Marmite is immoral because Vegemite's better.
Medicinal.
The month of June is over.
It's because Australians are ontologically.
Ooh, hold on, Australians. What makes Australians different from other... Is there a difference between Australians and other men? Is there a difference in their essence?
Yeah, they eat Marmite.
Okay, but
No,
hold
eat
on.
Vegemite, not
I'm
Marmite. Marmite is
actually-
immoral.
I'm actually asking a genuine question here. Do you think there is a difference in the essence of an Australian versus, say, I don't know, an Englishman? I don't know, it doesn't matter.
Okay, but like the English are where we come from. We're way too similar to the English for you to really say there's a difference in essence. Like, even a
Americans,
racist
French,
wouldn't
doesn't
say
matter.
that.
Doesn't matter.
Even a
Yeah,
racist wouldn't say that.
An Iranian and an Australian, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm just picking two
that's a
cultures.
better example.
Human nature is the same.
So human nature is the same, so why is it more moral for an Australian to eat Marmite versus someone else?
It's Vegemite.
It's not, right, I agree with you, it's not, correct, but you're saying that one belongs to that essence more than the other, correct?
Well, so are you
I think he was making
disagreeing
a
that
joke,
Vegemite
right?
is an Australian? Yeah, I was making a joke. But are you gonna seriously disagree that Vegemite is not like a characteristically Australian thing?
No, I agree with
It's
that
so
it is. That's
yummy
why I brought it
there.
up. That's the example I'm bringing up for that reason.
Well, so you're asking the question, what is the essence of man? It's like, I don't
Correct,
know,
I'm trying to understand what, I'm asking you
walk
what is
around,
essence.
We got two legs, we got two eyes.
And you said that we eat
Tasmanians
stuff.
have two heads, so they don't really fit with the rest of Australia.
But my question though is that a very narrow part of the human population eats Marmite. A very, very narrow part of the population. It's not in our nature necessarily to eat Marmite. It's something that some parts of the world. Hold on, let me finish. That some parts. No,
it's
let me
'cause you're-
finish.
no, once
It's
again,
because
it's
some
because
parts
you-
have culturally adopted. No, it's because some parts have culturally adopted.
Soy rage.
Oh,
It's because some parts of it have culturally adopted it. That's my point.
Soy rage.
Bro,
So, okay.
I think he was making a joke. I think maybe we should move on from the Vegemite question.
Soy rage.
The VQ, goddamn.
Look, the
God,
point
man, I
is
hate
that
Wordle.
so we look around and we find that all these cultures, they eat all these different foods, but then it's like, wait a minute.
If
They're
only
all,
the porn
they're all
for World
eating
was as good as the
something,
game.
and they're not eating
Facts.
other things.
Okay, so is eating dog immoral?
I'm
I'm gonna be so for real, I don't think eating it is immoral if you raise the animal to be eaten. Like, there's different breeds of dogs in China that are like raised like cows just to be eaten. The whole breed, that's what it's there for, it's as a food source.
Exactly.
Okay,
Whereas
well,
just like
human
eating a
just to
motherfucker's
eat the
pet,
human.
of course that's immoral because you're depriving someone of their like property.
I'm not talking about a pet, I'm just talking
What if
about
I
a dog.
raise a human just to later on eat the human?
No, it's not inherent. It's not inherent.
Well, like, cannibalism is wrong,
It really depends on the
because humans are like sentient and like actually properly can like think and shit.
I want cover to answer
I'm
my
human,
then
so
always
I don't
just
want
a
other
bad
humans to
taste.
be eaten because, you know, I'm human,
Cannibalism
so I
being
don't
bad
want...
is just a societal construct.
Like, something being bad or good is not a societal construct necessarily. Like, I work through my morals in like an axiomatic view. It's like, I don't want something to happen. Like, it's basically just the fucking golden rule. Like, I don't want people to be eaten because I don't want to be eaten. It's the whole thought of like, if you were designing a society or a tax code, you want to think of that as in like, you could be dropped into any position in that society randomly, and you want to make it like, okay.
Well, Happy though, there are sometimes situations that you do
know,
need to treat
man.
people
I
in a way
think
that
some
you don't
people
want to
here
be
look
treated
pretty
based on
tasty.
different things. Right,
But
like,
like, if I was a
somebody...
pedo, I'd want to die, and so, and like, obviously I'm not, guys, so, blow. But, like, if I was like that, I would want to die, and so I think we should kill them.
Well, this is
Killing
the real
pedos,
point.
I think, is immoral good.
You guys have no. You guys have.
well...
I think
You
we
guys
should
have no
eat every
argument
spy
against
main because they're not using their bodies. They're just sitting there.
Cover,
That's so true, that's so true, I agree.
Cover, I asked you a question you still haven't answered. Is eating dog immoral? It's okay, you can say yes or no, I'm just curious.
Well, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, just don't eat the brain or spine. Just eat everything else.
You wouldn't, did you say you wouldn't know?
I wouldn't know, I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it, so you don't think that eating, you're not sure if eating a dog is immoral or not immoral, that's what you're saying.
Well, like, there's
I'm
a
not
difference
sure,
between
it's
you
the-
think something's moral or immoral and just, like, icky. You know?
But, sure, fine, no, I agree with that. I'm not saying, I don't know for sure if I agree that it's immoral or not either, but I'm asking you based on your system of human nature. You just said, like, eating anything is in human nature, so by your system, you would say that it is okay, because in some cultures, eating dog is accepted. No, hold on! because it's the same thing as the Marmite example. In some cultures... I'm not a Redditor, dude. Reddit fucking hates me. Reddit fucking hates me because I'm a liberal, you fucking
dog.
Look, the reason
You're a liberal?
Reddit.
Yes, I'm a liberal. I hate socialism.
I'm telling you this right now. The reason you have a method of argumentation where you just
Human smuggling,
Like, I
forced
like
government
classical liberalism
euthanasia.
and, like, the sense of, like, no landlords and shit like that, but, you know.
like you're not actually concerned about figuring out what's true. You're just concerned about complicating things until you get a result that you want. That's
If you were exposed to PC gaming in the mid-2000s, you may be entitled to financial compensation.
Cover, what I'm arguing is I'm testing your moral theory. I'm wondering, you gave
Capitalism
me an
and how
example.
it's being run right now is a scam.
Ultra mega kill.
I'm testing your moral theory. Well, according
That's
to what
literally
I
what
said,
I'm
perfectly-
doing. Notice that
it's
you haven't
perfectly
answered the
licit
question.
for me- It's perfectly licit from what I said to go, I don't know. That's a perfectly
It is!
acceptable
No!
answer.
I agree
And you're
with you
soy
that...
raging. You're soy
No, I don't-
raging because I said
I'm not-
I don't know.
No, I didn't. I literally didn't rage about that. I said that's fine. You can answer yes or no. You say I don't know. That's fine because I don't know either. That's okay. I'm asking
That's
you
what
the
they're doing. They're
question.
going back and forth about bullshit. I'm talking about eating people.
Frankly,
Caps, I'm
you know,
talking about
guys, I do have a point here on, like, the eating of things, right?
Maybe
I think
can I
it's more
please
immoral
get a
to
damn
eat
point in
an
for 2
octopus than a dog.
Damn good.
Oh my god. This is so annoying.
Like if you've ever eaten Spam, that's partially human flesh.
So this is the problem. I
Where
have
the
an
fuck
argument
you getting
against,
that from, man?
Nature Boy, but you don't.
It's been sourced. Some of the meat is 1% human meat content.
Cover
Yeah, like,
what
in-
I'm
in
trying.
an
What
accident
I'm
or
trying to
something?
say.
Anyway, I don't eat spam because it's gross.
Cover what I'm trying to say
You're not
here.
trying to say
What's up,
anything.
boys?
Just,
Let's also discuss the fact that Pop-Tarts are indeed sandwiches.
Island, bruh.
Y'all miss me?
Cover, you said that eating things, this is what you said earlier.
Yeah, burritos are sandwiches.
The burritos aren't
They don't miss
sandwiches.
me.
The burritos.
They don't miss me, bro.
No, a wrap is considered a sandwich. Burritos are a wrap.
Can I get a chance?
No.
Cover, you said earlier that Marmite is
Yeah, and you
okay
can
to
have
eat
a
because
closed
humans
sandwich.
eat things, and that's fine, that's in our human nature. Some
Yeah,
humans
that'd
in
be
some
calzone.
cultures, just
Go
like
ahead, where's the
Marmite,
red team
they
at?
Yes,
will
and
eat
those are
dog.
sandwiches. You're slowly getting it.
Calzone's a burrito.
How does your moral system not inherently account for that? That's my
Oh,
question.
shit.
There's
dog is
open face
sandwich.
sandwiches and there's closed
You're a
face
red hair,
sandwiches.
I'm not talking to you anymore.
If
I'm
it's
literally not a
closed, it's
runner.
calzone.
You're running. Every
If
time
it's
I
open,
challenge
it's
you,
a
you
sandwich.
run. Every
No,
single
it's not
time.
how
You are
that
so
works. You don't
annoying.
understand.
Every time I challenge you, I make a
Arguing
point that's
about
obvious.
it.
You complicate it for no reason.
Or is it like
I'm not
a
complicating
dumpling?
it. I'm trying to understand your moral view because it doesn't
burrito
make
is a
sense.
sandwich like a hot pocket is a sandwich.
Go to Perry.
A burrito is a
That's just
dumpling,
Perry.
actually.
This whole time, I'm trying to figure out what your idea of an essence means. That's it. That's all I've been trying to figure out.
Is anyone here a doctor?
Yeah, ask a
My
doctor.
moral system is very
I
simple.
would say,
Things that harm other
I'm going
people,
to say
harm
here
defined as
now,
either physical or
if you
mental
dip
anguish that is
Oreos in
undue to
milk,
them
you're
and
doing
infringes
it
on their
wrong.
rights.
Oreos do not go
is
in milk, they
bad
go in water.
Unless what they're doing needs to be stopped to infringe on somebody else's rights.
What am I
Yeah,
listening
Snack, this
to?
is-
Okay,
Snack, this is
Mr.
why you
Homophobe
have
man.
no
Mr.
argument
What about
Advocate,
slavery? They
name.
infringed on the slave owners.
Yeah,
Snack,
cover
this is
me.
why you have no argument
Slave
against
owners are
nature.
infringing on the human rights of slaves. It's
Mr.
very
Cover
simple.
me.
What happens if they weren't
Mr.
considered
Cover me.
humans?
Happens of what?
Pull the trigger.
It's considering that
Do not pull the
historically
trigger.
they weren't
Double
considered
kill.
humans, technically they
Pull the
they
trigger.
receive human rights.
Don't do it.
My view of
If
moral
you do it, I'll have
philosophy
free
is
food
that it
to
is
eat your corpse.
societally constructed and determined. I believe I'm a moral relativist.
So nature,
That is
so
my belief.
Nature boy,
That's what all us cats do when we
Okay,
see
but
our
like,
owners
if you're
die, we
in
check to see
Saudi
if they're alive
Arabia
and we
and they
start
think
eating
pedo
it.
stuff is okay just because like
Correct.
that's their culture, it's still not okay. Because
Yeah,
you're
it's not okay
harming
to us.
someone.
Yes, it's not okay to us. I agree with you that
You're
it's not
harming
okay.
someone, so it's not okay.
Snack, so
I agree. Because in our view, we see
You
that
have
as
to
harmful.
have some form of axiom that is not like moral relativism. You can't just be like,
Yeah,
oh,
you're-
if a
you're
society
speaking
deems it
rhetoric.
okay, it's okay. You have to have an axiom to which you work your morals through.
Why? Okay, so let me put it this way. So, if you grew up in a different time in a different country, would you view those things as bad?
I think if I had the same axioms, and as you know, axioms aren't really like a super
How are axioms
debatable
derived?
matter.
Axioms, you're a fucking faggot.
Axioms are your base assumptions.
Right, where do you draw those assumptions from?
Nature.
They're just your
No.
base assumptions. You don't always know.
Nature.
Sometimes you draw them from
Nature,
society,
you
sometimes you don't.
retard.
Sometimes you draw
Why don't
them
you say
from,
that?
like, you just feel disgusted when you see something.
Alright,
And
let me
my
clarify.
axiom,
Let me clarify. Your axioms are derived from society, but society's axioms, society's actions...
Reddit.
You have two Scout players and they hear a big word. Oh, this guy is a slur. This guy is a slur.
Reddit.
Society's axioms are drawn in part from nature. They're obviously things that are related to human nature that we see and decide as a society are not good. Most societies ban in some way interpersonal violence.
What if I told you your
right?
behavior is not based on
But-
society's preference?
Alright, my axiom here, right, is that hurting people or harm to humans or stuff that's more similar to humans is bad. That's the
I
axiom.
agree with that
I
axiom.
believe that 'cause
Now
you don't
some
support the war in
cultures may
Ukraine.
not have that axiom.
But you actually don't support that because you don't support the war in
Alright,
Ukraine,
you
which is
overused
a
that word.
authoritarian state trying to invade Ukraine, which is a democratic state.
We have one man.
I agree.
You support
Happy, I-
actual dictatorship because you
Happy, I run on the exact same axiom you do. I think harm to people is bad. The problem that we're having here is
Even
that that wouldn't be...
if you're
Hold on.
in Arabia, if a behavior still harms people, it's still immoral.
Don't ignore me, I'm
I
right.
agree with you.
And so
But
then,
we
like,
only
if you're
think
in
that...
like a pedo society and
But
there
you're
are pedos there,
defining harm differently than they do. What you view as being harmful is not what they view as being harmful.
do you know, like, do you know what, like, psychological harm doing that to a kid does? Jesus
Of
Christ,
course
it's
there
illegal
is.
for a fucking reason.
Of course there is, but lots of things are harmful. Like, okay, let me put it this way. Putting somebody in a school for some amount of days could also be psychologically harmful. Putting somebody
Not
into
more
work
than
could also be
days, dude.
psychological.
What the fuck?
No, I'm not saying... No, listen, I'm not saying more.
need a room.
What
saying
the fuck
more.
is this chat, bro? Shut the fuck up
I
and
support
play.
human rights, but I'm fine with dictators enforcing.
We're on team explain shit. Come on now.
Happy, I'm not saying more or less.
Fucking
What I'm
traumatizing.
saying,
Wow.
I could give you other examples. Detaining a criminal
What am I
could
listening
also
to,
lead to
bro?
massive
Oh, shit,
psychological
right.
harm, but we still
Wow.
think it's moral to do so, right? Well, I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying more or less. I'm just
all
saying,
like
because of the
detaining
British
is
style. Fuck the British. I hate the
moral or
British.
immoral. You can detain, like, again,
Yeah, like I'm
to keep on the
fucking
topic, I guess. You can detain people and
people
keep them.
talk about
And I
democracy.
think it's
That's
just more
cool.
moral because you can't ever release them because they're a danger to society no matter what they do. It's more moral
Dude,
to
your
execute them.
pussy ass is a danger.
I agree with you. I hold the same. I hold the same axiom you do.
You're a
Oh
fucking
my god, this is
retard,
so
dude.
annoying. I agree with you. I have the same
Yeah, like,
axiom.
school has
My
more
point
benefits
is,
than like bad shit. Like I got bullied in school, but like
I
you know,
agree.
it's not exactly a bad
I
thing.
agree with you. My point is that we
This is
have
why
that
you're being
axiom because we
bullied
grew up
now.
in a society that acknowledges that harm. Some societies don't. That's it.
Snack, you're
Yeah,
a
but
redditor.
if they're not acknowledging that harm, that doesn't mean the harm isn't still happening. There are objective things in reality, and
Happy
that
gets
harm should be acknowledged.
Should be is a social decision. That's my point. There are other harms that.
As in, I care about harm to people, and so
So do I.
my axiom is I don't like harming people, and that's like an assumption that we get. Axioms
Yeah,
like
axioms.
definitionally not really something you can argue about.
Happy's Catholic upbringing.
Happy, let me give you another example. So you could have somebody that is falsely accused of, let's say, murdering 2 or 3 people or something like that. They're put to death, right? They're falsely accused. They're innocent. We would agree.
All you do is
We would agree that that's immoral.
She's more about like, oh, let's go walk in the shop, let's go watch a show, let's get me coffee, or let's get like a drink or something. Let's look at the stores. Yeah, like every time we go to a Knott's Berry Farm, it's not about this. It's always about, well, let's go see a show, go rent a train, let's walk into some stores, you know, let's go over here. It's always about stores. Looking. Maybe 1 or 2 reps, but they're slow. The train one, maybe that mine one. The mine was not that bad. Maybe Pony Express was so short. That's it. 2 rides, 3. I wanted her to go on the, I don't know if you do it, but it takes you up to the top of the, not the oh, not the spin. It spins slowly. Shit, no. She got so scared. Yeah, I need you. You know, and then there was the kids next to us. They were jumping and they would shake the thing. She was like, freaked out. She's like this. That's the birthing type. Yeah. Like it goes up very slowly.
So my question to you then is which is the larger harm? Not putting those people to death or putting those innocent people to death?
I don't really put so much moral backing in towards like the idea of like mortality. Like we're like pretty much again we're all gonna die. It's bad to kill someone who is innocent, obviously. But if it's like 3 people who die because they've been wrongly convicted, that is better than like 150, 200 children being like having psychological, like lifelong psychological harm.
You're a dumbass.
Okay, like PTSD, CPTSD, etc. Then like those 3 people, I think yes, the damage done to children and like the lifelong psychological harm causes more suffering long term.
I agree with you. My moral system agrees with you. But my question is, how did you come to that? How do you come to that conclusion? How do you decide that?
Because I don't like harm, and I don't really see being dead as harm. Like the act of killing someone as harm, but being dead, not really. I don't like.
Okay, so you just have different weights of harm on these different things that you weigh. In other words, it's a utilitarian type system, right?
It is pretty utilitarian,
Do you
yeah.
support kidnapping?
Okay.
No,
I
I
have the
don't. I
exact
don't
same
like
conclu-
kidnapping because you're gonna traumatize someone.
I have the exact same
Okay, what
conclusion
about
as you.
Ukraine when
Trauma,
Russia is
define
systematically kidnapping people in Ukraine, especially
No,
their
so-
children, and re-educating them in camps?
So the,
Dude,
yeah,
I'm not.
Snack
I'm
doesn't
not going
understand
into the
that-
argument about the Russo-Ukraine war. I can have that argument later, but I'm having like a
But your
conversation
argument
with someone,
is that
and
inaction
you don't
is
really
good,
register
even
as
though it
important.
is persisting the continued violence systematically in Ukraine.
What is
why- why did
like?
we
Here's the
put- why
thing. You're
did we
just
put
like
nature
trying to move it
Yeah,
onto
yeah,
Ukraine
yeah.
because you're like soying.
Cover, we can make the argument. Cover. I'm gonna go ahead and say something here that's gonna blow your mind. It is probably in human nature for some people to be pedophiles, and we would still agree that that's probably immoral.
Kick this guy. Kick this guy. Literally kick this guy.
No, I think like
Kick this
some
guy.
people
And
are
that's
kind of just
bad.
like that, and they should just be
Yeah.
You're
removed.
saying pedophiles
Yes,
are okay,
and I agree with that.
Like they're never going to like not be a danger to society, so we should just kill them.
Yeah, and I agree with that
pretty
100%.
You're actually retarded.
But what if they're innocent and you're retarded because they're innocent?
That's so facts, bro.
That's a weight that you put onto
I
one
don't
versus
care
the
if
other.
a pedo commits a crime or not. If they're a pedo, they're a danger to society, and so they should be removed from
Right,
society
but how do you
permanently. I don't care if they're an offending or a non-offending one.
Your ass is retarded, bro.
That is actually insane.
You think
Cover
there's
is
people
offended
that
by the
pay
question because he
money
doesn't
to-
believe that people who are
Yeah.
pedophiles were just, that's their predilection. Which is true. A lot of those people
Like
just
if you're
are.
just like that, you should just like kill yourself. Like
Right, if they're actually a
This is-
pedophile, but if they're not,
this
then
is
why would you
outrageous.
kill them?
yeah, if they're not, then we don't do
seriously
that.
think
But
that-
like, come on.
Because you make mistakes in any justice system. There's always going to be a type 2 error.
Mistakes.
Like if I had someone with mind reading powers and I could just read if someone was a pedo, and if I found one, I'd just kill them.
John, there's always going to be. Well, that's so. There's two ways you can lean on this. You can lean towards the type 1 error, where you make too many people who are guilty go innocent, or you can lean towards the type 2 error, where you let too many innocent people be incarcerated or killed. Those are your only two choices. Those are your only two choices.
I think it's more is a man who's 60. Is a man who
I think it's
dates-
more
who's
moral
60
to
who dates an
imprison someone
18-year-old
who's
is he a
innocent for
pedophile?
80 years than
Oh, we're playing the moral game,
What did
huh?
you just say, Blinky?
Whole discussion has been about morals.
Dates an 18-year-old.
Everyone,
a
it's
pedophile.
time for our favorite
No,
game.
can you
Let's
repeat that? I
Play
can't hear you,
Forgot.
bro.
Is a person who is 60 who dates an 18-year-old a pedophile?
If this shot continues,
What if
now
they're
I might shoot
elephant
myself.
birds?
I would say
executive.
it's extremely concerning, and I would assume that most likely internally they are.
You might say that's a
Are you
Because
Australian
they're
or
going that low
British?
because that's the lowest they can go if they're 60.
Why do I think are you Australian or British? Because that changes the subject here.
He's Australian.
Okay, alright. I give you more respect because you're Australian. Never mind, I'm sorry. I thought you were British.
No, I hate the British.
Yeah, fuck the British. Sorry, my bad. I
also hate the
misjudged
French.
you.
Go Pyro, go, go, go. I
What is the same damn thing?
Hey, Britain,
How
you
are y'all
can't
talking
do
to this
nothing.
guy? I don't hear him at all.
Like,
Britain,
you know,
can't
some
do
people are
nothing.
just born super fucked up and immoral, but the way I find that out is like, do they do harm in an inherent manner?
Can someone build a dispenser in these
Wow,
sewers?
they don't.
Can't seem to like distinguish the pedophile from the
Like, it
pathetic.
depends on
That's the
risk as
easiest
well.
word around. You don't want to-
Because like
So
I'm
you're saying it's a
utilitarian,
case on
but like
case
still like a
basis.
couple pedos that aren't
depends on
offending, then like
it depends on risk because if Snack could get away with it, he might do it.
It's a case on case basis, right?
So they're guilty no matter what.
Wait, Mr. Cat, didn't we say we were gonna like ban people who did like
This is so retarded.
unfounded accusations of pedo shit?
Yes,
Yeah,
if you get
Cover's
on
just calling me a
recording,
pedophile
they
now.
will be banned from the
literally
chat.
did.
Yeah, yeah, he
forever.
did just like
literally
call Mr.
defended
Snack a
it.
pedophile, and
You
I
literally
just think
defended
that's
it.
sort of ad hominem bad faith
Hey,
argument.
Imagine
Well,
being
you get a
so
recording
scared of
of it and
answering
spam
three
forums and some
hypotheticals that you
abandonment.
have to call me a
Again.
redditor and then call me a pedophile.
It's possible you're projecting, that's all I said. That's all I said. I didn't accuse
No,
you.
it's not.
Man, I
That's
love
an
it.
accusation, but that's fine.
I just said it's possible that your
Gotta
entire
find it.
ethic
I
is a
need to-
justification for
Yes,
the feelings you have.
cover
Well, like the
possible.
reason
I'm
I'm
not
on this
saying it's
topic at the very least is because like I've been a victim of that bullshit, right?
You've ever built
Yeah, that
a
might
So
be
like I do
something
think
to
it's
do
an
with,
extreme like
most
moral
factors.
issue,
That might
but I
be
think it's
something
one
to
like
do
if
with
your
being
moral
gay.
system can't account for those sorts of people, like you can't
Thank you.
like
Cover,
have a
yeah,
good
Cover,
moral
you know we
system.
got into this argument because Happy brought it up as an example and I engaged with it, right? Like I didn't start bringing that up or some shit.
Yeah, like I brought it up because
engage
I've been a
with it
victim
because
of that
you're
sort of
a
stuff
It's
though.
like an argument.
I engaged with it because I thought it was an interesting question. The same reason I
Yeah,
engaged with
because
yours.
you're-
Smell
it's
like
yours.
burnt toast.
No, it
Dude, you might
By the way, this all started about white stuff.
That was weird. I'm smelling burnt toast.
On for like 30 minutes.
I'm smelling a cough.
Sorry, that's me. I just turned my heater on.
So going back to the crux of the argument.
Finally. I've been waiting for you. I have this copy of this hit new indie game to give you. It's called Deltarune.
I really don't care about the
Ooh, I like that.
So let's go back to the crux of the argument, Cover.
I
So
have to
what
use
makes
you 'cause
something
this
human
person
nature?
by the
How
name
many
of
people?
Matthew
How many people need to do
wanted
something
it
for it to be
running.
arguably human nature? Like how many people out of a population need to do something?
Let's not.
Dude,
because
here's
you're
the thing,
a
you're never
Redditor,
going
not
to get
talking.
to that point in the argument because the argument is based on feeling. It's based on intuition. It's a
every
genuinely
time-
human argument, but it's like just that you can't logic through it.
Every time I get close to it, he runs from it. Every time I say, well, let's get to
Yeah,
what's
'cause you
distinguished,
can't
what
logic
is or
through
isn't
his
in human
moral
nature.
system.
I know, and it's infuriating.
It's just purely
Well,
vibe-based.
let's test if there's such a thing as human nature. Go spend a day underwater.
No.
Genius.
Dude, that's like genuinely, like seriously, we
That is
both
the
said
stupidest
like
fucking
that's a
point you've
bad
made so far.
argument
Yeah.
repeatedly.
No. It's actually genius. Just spend a day underwater. Yep, W medic. Oh, I got
Biological
it.
function is not morality.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
I guess I'm fucking.
I don't want to
medic,
spend
dude.
a day
No,
under the
fucking
water.
medic.
If I had to spend a day with SpongeBob, I would kill myself.
Okay, if biological function precedes morality,
I
then
love
why do I
SpongeBob.
have a
Do not
prostate, and
talk
why does it
ill
feel
about
so good when
SpongeBob.
someone fucks me in the butt?
Childhood
Checkmate
is
liberal.
idolizing SpongeBob.
Do not
Adulthood is realizing you're
It's
Squidward.
about Sponge Boy.
Why is it that addicts will just sit there day after day and ruin their lives when they're
Sorry, but
addicted
when
to
you're a
something?
child, you
Because it's
idolize
in their
SpongeBob,
human
and you're
nature to
adult,
be
you realize
addicted
you're
to it.
Why is
It's
it
part
that-
of their
why is it
essence to
that
be
Predator
addicted to it.
try to
And that's why
argue-
we have to have
also
social
break
mores that constrain people away from those behaviors because it's in their human nature to give into them.
Why is it?
It's actually
why is it
genealogical.
Predator?
We can genealogically trace addictive behaviors.
Alright guys.
Like,
Let's
okay,
discuss the war
okay,
in Gaza
okay.
and make a peace plan.
We gotta.
But let's go back to gay people.
Give all of Israel and Palestine
Let's
to
go back to
Brazil.
chickens.
Guys.
Chickens, I eat them for Frankie. I don't actually eat
Should I see
breakfast,
one?
that's what
This
I
is stressful. Oh my god.
See a bagel.
But yeah, like, as like an intersex person, who am I supposed to have sex with?
According to
Being
Howard,
gay is immoral.
Heavy, go get them. Go get them.
They're tested.
Get
Can I have,
them.
can I have sex with
Heavy?
Because you're either a man
or can I have sex with none?
Cover.
You're either
Let's
a man
assume that Happy is lying, but an intersex person somewhere exists. How would your moral system conform to that?
freaking weight.
every intersex condition.
How would your moral system conform to there being an intersex person, somebody who is maybe 1 in 10
I put you to
billion?
the
You need
soldier.
one person who's genuinely intersex, and you can say it doesn't conform to human nature or whatever. What are they supposed to do?
What if
Is there
there's-
moral for them to have
What if
sex?
there's like
back
a
in this one, point my gun at them and tell them I'm going to shoot them.
Like, if
What if
I'm
there's a
intersex,
union
is it
where
okay that I'm bi?
Sure.
Bi is code. Bi is
Like, would it be okay if I have sex with both men and women?
Bi is
Relationships
It's
with
human
men, but
nature
sex
for an
with women.
intersex person, like any other person, to be horny. Why should they
Yeah,
define their
like,
human nature?
I get horny and shit.
You can tell me that
Bacon,
when you were
bacon.
you were like fucking desperate.
You're telling me when you were a teenager you didn't have that one intimate moment with your bunk buddy at summer camp?
Nah, I just have one with my uncle, bro.
It really is. It's just
Like I know all of
Cover,
us
what do you
here had an
think?
intimate moment with our summer camp buddy in our bunk.
guys see the dancing chicken?
Nah, bro, I just had one with my uncle.
I wanna. I'm talking.
You went on like the canoe and everything at the summer camp, and then you saw the stars, and you put your hand on his hand.
Dude, dude,
No,
it's like
but
1 a.m.
I
Please
bet
stop
if you, I
subscribing
bet
this
if you
to me.
had
I'm
that
trying to
kind
have a
of
drink.
experience, I bet if you had that kind of experience, you might try to justify.
I'm just telling you about what happened when you were at the summer camp. We all had that experience.
Gotcha.
So, Cover, what do you think?
Not so.
2026.
Is it immoral?
John.
Like,
You're telling me you
who
didn't
is it
enjoy
moral
when
for
you
me to
did
have
that,
sex
John?
with
Are you
in
telling me
like
that?
your weird ass moral system?
No.
It's not a weird.
Like, do I have sex with a man or do I have sex with a woman?
Only one. Are you a man or a woman?
You haven't even drawn where you get your idea of essence from. You haven't defined whatsoever where you get your idea of a human essence or nature from. You haven't defined whether it's based on the number of people that conform to a behavior. You haven't decided whether it's based on the harm of that behavior. You haven't based it on anything.
We can use these pits. We're going with White Savan. You left the lights on.
Beep boop. This chat's fucking crazy, dude. I'm just ignoring them.
It's Chief
Like,
Security
yeah,
Officer
dude,
Boper.
like what defines man or woman
talking
for an
about the
intersex
game.
person? Is it the primary sexual characteristics, or is it the secondary sexual characteristics, or is it the gametes, or is it the chromosomes? Because chromosomes are usually all fucked up.
Lower than molested.
That's why we always differentiate between genotype and phenotype.
Well, we find that men have X.
If there's water on the sun, don't drink it.
No, but like if you're intersex, you can have XXY, you can have like.
What can happen with certain people is
Oh my
that
god, so many people need heals.
maybe they
Oh,
have
shit.
XXY, but the presence of
I'm
So you're only like
In genotype, sure, not in phenotype.
It's not,
Oh my
but it's
God,
not the mere
destroyed.
presence of the Y chromosome, because
That was a
the
crazy
Y
shot, Sniper.
chromosome can be stopped from communicating with
I am a
the
chicken.
itself.
Are you
I am a jockey. We should get
I am
together.
Oh my god, it's a chicken jockey.
It's not
Chicken
only
jockey. Hey!
Y. It needs to be a
I'm
phenotype.
the
It's not the
jockey and
genotype,
the
it's the
chicken.
phenotype.
I'm the chicken who's a spy.
Chicken Jackie.
Chicken jockey.
Chicken jockey.
Chicken jockey.
Chicken jockey.
Chicken jockey.
Chicken
jockey.
The
Hey, I like
sun
this
is a
lobby.
deadly laser.
Oh, dude! I missed that video!
Well, like, yeah, if you have someone who's like intersex, like what,
I
like
got a
how do you
kill.
define what
And
their
then I am
sex
dead.
is? If you're saying like, are you a man or a woman?
Hey, at least you got a kill.
Secondary sexual characteristics, because you know I look
Does anyone
like a
know
woman.
of a chicken song like My Heart?
Can I answer
Ouchie.
the question? Happy.
It depends. In the worst,
Oh, shit. You
case
kid,
scenario, you need a
La la
genetic
la
test,
la
like
ba,
the worst case scenario.
chicken.
Yo, Donut, I don't know if you like
Chicken.
all the chicken.
Mamacita, now you're ringing the bell.
Wait, what was
I
that?
forgot the rest.
Crispy and juicy, now you're having a snack!
Lava.
It's so spicy, it's a attack! That's good, right guys? Yeah, go ahead, cover, sing it, I hear you!
Dirty spy. Dirty.
Spy, would you? Are you a spy? I
Crispy
think I'm
and
gonna
juicy.
spy check you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not a spy. You are good. You are good.
You wouldn't happen to be a cat.
Hey,
I can-
sorry, I couldn't hear you over everyone yelling all the time. But could you repeat that? I just ignored a
was
whole
singing.
hell of a lot.
I thought
Actually playing the game. What the hell? There's fucking spy here. Hey, there's a
Ah,
spy
there's
here.
double sentry. Double senti menti. Judge sentry. Dead.
Mr. Cover Me, could you repeat the last thing you said, basically? Like, how would you define man or woman when it comes to intersex behavior?
They don't want to talk about this.
Lava.
Thank God I don't want to fucking kill myself with this chat anymore.
Steve, lava chicken,
Yes, the sun's asleep.
Mamacita, now you're ringing the bell.
Yeah, the sun goes home at night to his family of planets. Now wait. I'm sorry. The sun might be a her too. Let's not assume. Ow.
Fortin it up. Fortin it up. Fortin it up.
Oh yeah, I got a status resistance. I totally don't have like 3. Oh Jesus Christ. Where the hell is this? What the hell? Hey, get off the roof. Hey. Oh shit.
Easy.
I'm scared of that cat.
So bad, yeah.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. The cat scared me. Lava Chicken is a masterpiece. It's a musical masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece.
It's like mortally get painted.
Hey, I'm just gonna let you know, whoever shot me with fire, that's not nice. Chicken jockey.
I remember when I pissed all in the theater when they said chicken jockey the second time.
I remember when I threw my popcorn at the movie theater employee. And fucking jockey my chicken away.
Dirty spider, great, dirty.
I got you, bro.
Okay, cover me. Define a man and define a woman right now.
One has sausage, one does not.
Come on, we go push, we go push.
One got phenol.
Define a man and define a woman.
Alright, go now, go now.
One has a penis and the other doesn't.
Get the ass, boy! Yeah!
Like, define a man and define a woman in a way that, like, includes
Uncle Dan once said. And then I'm dead.
That's good push. I ain't gonna let you
Because,
die,
like,
bro.
chromosomes aren't gonna work, primary sexual characteristics aren't gonna work, secondary sexual
Oh boy, here we go again.
That's why it's called intersex.
What's the difference between
Like, define a man and a woman, please. Like, I can't
Horseradish
believe
is not a
define what a man
gender.
is and can't define what a woman is. No, but like if someone's XXY,
when Gabe made
right,
TF2,
that which is like a real intersex condition. He's saying like if you're intersex, then you're still either a man or a woman. And so if you have like fucked up chromosomes, then you know that's not necessarily going to work.
When Gaben made TF2, he said, "Let there be Paula."
Facts.
True.
Team Fortress 3 win.
And let me tell you, Gabe at Valve Software was right.
I got your
The
sniper.
best. It was worth the wait.
Yes, sir.
I love game
VTuber, enjoy yourself for it.
Like just try and define it without using
Oh,
like
shit,
chromosomes, because obviously we know
thing,
chromosomes
a
get
scout.
fucked up.
Yeah. What the
And
fuck?
like if someone doesn't produce gametes, then we've got to understand that we've got to do it without gamete
My bad,
production.
dude, I couldn't heal you.
I'm a man who can lactate. Does that mean I'm a woman?
No.
I got you, man.
Good.
I'm a man who can get pregnant. Does that make me a woman?
No.
No, makes you man. You good?
You good, bro. Stop
My homie
digging in
like
your
that.
butt,
Don't worry
twin.
about it.
My great granddad be like that, bro. Don't worry.
Suck our cow donuts.
Dad.
You know better.
Spoons.
But like, yeah, I don't know. Like, would it be gay for someone to like look at me and like want to clap, even though like I look like a woman?
I'm coming! Oh!
That depends. Did they assume you were gay?
I don't know.
No,
I mean,
I'm
they like you. Do you like them?
They think I'm like
As I
they
speak,
think I'm
the
a woman
aliens are
because that's what I
coming.
look like.
They're coming
But,
at
like
you.
I'm
They're
into
coming
it,
at
so
you.
like is that shit gay?
What if you
Like, is
look
that
like a
gay?
man and I want to clap still?
And I gotta go
What the hell you want
Yeah,
to
but
do?
is that gay for them? Like if they don't know?
Woman at a
Like I'm not exactly a top.
You don't get to decide that.
You gotta ask those questions.
You know what? I'm the one who decides
Identify with
that.
their gender and then what they view you as.
I'm trying to level up my my Australian sword. Can I get some free kills?
I'm the
over
one who decides if you're gay or not. I'm the gay man.
Yo, an Australian sword, sick.
If a gay man wants to clap me, does that mean I'm gay?
Yes. Because you're gay because he wants you.
This is real shit over here.
You're also gay for considering the idea of letting him do it.
I never said I didn't let him.
You didn't have to say it, I can tell you did.
He is
Wow,
the gay
I
man,
did
too.
let him. I'm sorry.
See, that's why I'm the gay man.
Phantom shits? You mean Phantom Pain, right?
Multi-kill. Is there phantom pleasure?
Even say.
Yes, there is. Whenever your wife has sex with me, you
Son,
feel
there's
good.
Phantom everything. Like in 2026, you're gonna have fucking Phantom Seizure or some shit.
That's a VR chat thing, dog. That's not real.
I know.
Is real?
They're just attention seekers.
Also, no, phantom pain is a real psychological thing. It's not just a VR chat thing.
Cause you can't even say your name.
I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, the only straight thing for a guy to like is gay women.
Sometimes I forget it's real because of them VR chat players. Hey, don't say the R word. That's mean. Hey, I have all my chromosomes, but I don't act like it.
Look, guys, I'm just a cat. What's your excuse?
Hey, bro, I'm trans. What's up?
You're
a train? Yeah, I'm a train.
Who's transgender?
Yo, it's me, bro, me.
Yo, you know how I figured out I was intersex?
What is intersex?
I'm technically transgender because I'm NB.
Like you're just built different, you know?
I'm up here.
Like, you got XXY. Like, they basically did genetic testing on me because I wanted to get on HRT, and they were like, bro, you're intersex.
Redolphin, are you gonna get muted again?
Yes, there's a chicken or a farming.
Dominating.
I don't want any of this het slop in my server.
Yeah, we should ban all heterosexuals
Probably don't
and
say like
cisgender people.
that stuff.
Give me a 2-foot server with no NGs.
I mean, you can play VR chat.
And no racist Russian kids.
Don't be
no
weird.
Racist. No Russian kids. Hey, Tommy, give me a 2-foot server with
Russian kids.
Like, I don't care what you do in VR chat. Just don't be weird.
Give this guy a TS2 server with nothing.
I'm going to saw through your dick.
I'm going to saw through your
Why
bones.
the fuck are you not on VC? Get on VC if you want me to argue with you. I'm not reading all that shit. I'm drunk.
Oh, you're drunk. I'm not talking to you.
How dare you stop me?
No, you can talk to me. I'm drunk.
I think I'm gonna explode
Don't mind
because
the
you stabbed
chicken
me.
or a farming.
If you're drunk, you're not capable of being rational.
Dude, I
It's
seem
like
to be more
snack.
capable of forming coherent arguments than you.
You can't consent.
If I get drunk and then come out as gay, does that make me gay still?
Yes, because that was your true self coming out. You're only you when you're drunk.
I don't know, like, I don't know what's gay or not for me, bro. Like...
It sounds like you're
not gay to me.
probably... Look, sometimes some
No,
guys
but
are
like,
more
like the
feminine.
doctor is like, you're intersex, and shit like
Tommy,
that.
why do you care?
Yes.
Like, it sounds like it has to do more with them, less about you. Like, why do you give a shit?
Why?
And so, like-
here's another thing. Why are you getting
Fuck
drunk?
you.
This is clearly affecting you. You're coping with it, and it's an understandable condition. But like, it's not a thing to throw out reality for. Like every intersex condition
no,
is
but, like,
disordered
okay, they
male
say-
or female development. You need to figure out which one you are.
Yeah, but like how,
and
in
pursue
like in
that.
what way is it like disordered, etc. Is like the point here. Like there's different
Well, and
conditions.
that varies depending on the condition. That's what I'm saying.
And so like my question is like how are you defining like what is like man or woman when it comes to intersex people, or do they kind of just get to choose? Because there are people with Y chromosomes who have vaginas. There are
Well,
people with
that's
only
why-
X
that's why I'm
chromosomes and they have
saying-
penises.
That's
Call
why
it
And like there's also
hermaphrodite.
people with penises who have completely the female
this is
secondary
why-
sexual characteristics because their hormones are all fucked up.
This is why I'm saying you have to work with your doctor to figure out what's going on, because like you're saying, everyone's different. They have all these different intersex conditions, but every single one of them goes one way or the other.
Like to an extent, it's like there's like a very rare case of true hermaphroditism, but like that's more rare than like any other.
I don't know if
condition.
that's even real.
No, no, it's extremely rare, but there's been like 5 cases in all of recorded history. It's extremely rare.
But on a little
Who
fun
did not
fact,
get
Aphrodite was not
DDoS?
beautiful at all. She was actually pretty ugly, and then she would get really jealous of people that were beautiful than her. So, calling someone they look like Aphrodite is an insult.
I think the English rule would apply for those people. You default to the masculine.
Why? Why are we defaulting to the masculine? Why can't we just be like, oh yeah, you're weird, and just acknowledge they're fucking weird?
Because that's the one that sticks out.
Because they want to make policy.
But like, I think it just makes more sense to just be like, you're weird, you're neither, have sex with whoever the fuck you want. Like, who cares? Just like,
Why can't we
go
just
clap
call each
for
other
women.
feminine men? Like the greatest form of hatred.
No, no, like this is what, when it comes to intersex people.
society.
Go back in the closet.
Like, why can't we just be like, whatever, you're weird, sure. And just like deal with the weirdness of like human nature.
We already viewed that.
Man, what happened to witty insults nowadays? It's all the same bullshit, slur. They call someone like they look like they suck mud.
This is the end. This is the end state that you have to deal with. Maybe a little bit more than other people.
And the
some
feelings
guys are a little more feminine, and some women are like a little more masculine. At the end of the day, this is the state that you have to deal with, and that's okay. Like there's people who are.
But like there's masculine women and there's feminine men, and then there's intersex people.
Yeah, so you just
like that's a
deal with it more
completely separate category.
You deal with it more extremely, but at the end of the day, that's what you're dealing with.
No, it's not dealing with it. Dealing with like an identity issue would be like transgender.
Cover
Intersex
just
is
can't
a medical
acknowledge the
condition.
fact that what he believes doesn't conform to the actual medical reality, because he doesn't understand that intersex is actually a separate category. Because phenotypes are not a
trans and
binary.
trans and intersex are different. I think both are like
I do actually, but that's
I
okay.
think being trans is like an intersex condition of the brain, frankly.
How am I retarded? Name one thing I've said today that's retarded.
Name one thing I shut up, Redditor.
Oh, so you can't name anything. All you can do is mock me. Exactly.
Soy rage.
I'm raging because you're the one who's running from the conversation as soon as I point out something. Interesting.
You can't write that.
Cover. We're not talking.
Like
as far as
every time I make a point, that's all he can do is go back to soy rage. That's all he says. See?
Right
there it is.
Like cover me. Hear me out. This is a purely hypothetical situation, and I don't expect you to think it's like reality, but like okay, it's purely hypothetical. Okay.
No, you remember he doesn't
if
engage
you have
with
one of those,
hypothetical.
like 1 of 5 people who have existed throughout history who have been truly hermaphroditic, then what is like immoral or moral for them to have sex with? Because they're going to get horny, but like, what's moral there if being like gay is wrong?
It's a hypothetical he won't engage in because he doesn't believe that those people were actually intersex or
No, there's like
hermaphroditic.
5 of them in throughout history.
Yeah, but he doesn't believe that they actually existed. That's what he's gonna say.
These are people for whom celibacy is the option. And one option in celibacy.
So you think like if someone should be purely celibate because they're like they've got a medical condition that isn't like transmittable?
It's funny that he engages with it when it's actually you saying it, but when I give him the exact same hypothetical, he can't engage with it. But now he has to.
You're an insufferable Redditor.
I gave you the exact same question an hour ago. Cool, I gave you the exact same question an hour ago.
I presented it in a more respectful way, frankly.
I presented it the exact same way.
Happy's not a smelly Redditor, so I'm not talking to you.
You didn't even call me a Redditor until like an hour after I presented that question.
Anyway, these are
also, there's a bunch of red guys in blue base.
Your honor, he was a Redditor.
It's because at this point you're dealing with like somebody who, in a practical way.
The hypothetical I gave you
into either category practically, right?
The hypothetical I gave you when I asked it was, let's say that there is a person that is not happy that is actually medically defined by people as being intersex. How would that conform to your moral worldview in terms of whether they should have sex or not?
Yeah,
that's how I asked it.
Answer the question, and he just said that they should be celibate.
No, that's what he
said. Celibate.
Just now he said that. Just now he said that, but when I asked that, he said, no, it's a hypothetical. I'm not going to go with something that doesn't exist. When I asked it, he ran from it because he said, I'm not going to engage with something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it also
well, it's a very rare condition, but it does happen sometimes.
Which is what I said.
I'd love
But I
to-
said, let's
I'd
pretend
love
it's a
to see that.
hypothetical. He said, well, I don't want to engage with something that doesn't exist.
Well, let's say I chopped your dick in half.
Okay, let's say that.
That would be pretty mean
Okay, your
and like
option,
painful.
That would be pretty
your option
mean.
is- Your option is celibacy.
Yeah, but like if you're
reconstructive
truly
surgery
hermaphroditic,
exists.
you don't have to be celibate, right? Like there's no physical function stopping you from being celibate. Why
Yeah,
should
the
they
butt
just
still
stick
works,
to
the
being
dick still
celibate?
works, whatever else, yeah.
So if you
Like,
what
it
if you have
doesn't produce
nothing?
gametes, obviously.
What do you do? What do you do? You have nothing.
Did you say August 3rd? Hey. This Wednesday, you have a doctor's appointment at 3:30. What time do you go to work?
3:30. 3:30.
You go to work at 3:30?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, yeah, you have a doctor's appointment at 3:30. You'll have to call your job or talk to your job and tell them you'll be in later, and then your brother will take you to work. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And then you could tell them to send you a doctor's note so that you could give it to your job. I'll tell your brother.
Ethiopian Jew that came to Israel.
How can people believe you now?
You low-key pulled
You
the whole
sterilized
thing out of
every
your ass.
like Ethiopian Jew
There
that
was a
came
drug.
to Israel.
There
No,
was
look
a
it
drug.
up.
I am. There was a drug that was a contraceptive that had a side effect of making people sterile.
Whoa,
Actually,
crazy.
no.
And
It's
why
not even.
did you force
Sorry,
people
no.
to have that?
Hold on. They didn't.
Snacker, you
Alright,
Jewish?
I got a TFT quick real quick. If Strikey has
Are you
killed me
Jewish?
before,
Like,
how
why are you
am I
sucking off
dominating?
BB's cock?
I don't. I hate Bibi Netanyahu. I just believe that Israel shouldn't be dismantled as a state. That's what Zionism means.
No, but like, why should Israel not be dismantled? They're committing horrible acts of violence against the Palestinian people, and they have an alternative state in Russia because there's a Jewish oblast in Russia right next to Manchuria.
You know there's an alternative Palestinian state, right? There's actually 23 alternative, there's 23 alternative Arab
Because
Muslim
they
states
lived
too.
there. They lived there before you guys took it. Well, before us, the English took it, but like, you know.
The English
Like,
didn't
we should
take
never
it.
have given it to you people.
Who was there before the English? Yeah, you don't. Well, who's there before the English?
Arabs. Arabs
No,
were there before the English.
wrong. The Ottomans were there before the English. The Europeans were still there
the
before
Turks.
the.
Ooh, were the Turks.
No, not the
But, like,
Turks.
who was actually
the
living in the
Ottomans.
area?
That's not the same
Yeah,
thing.
the Ottomans are the Turks, you dipshit.
No, they're not. They
The
were an
Ottomans are
empire.
Turkish ethnically. Yeah, they were
No,
an
they
empire
are not.
and they were
Holy
ethnically
shit!
Turkish.
You don't know what an empire is. Okay, the American Empire
They
is
were religiously Muslim,
is
ethnically
everyone in-
Turkish.
Some were religiously more orthodox than
And the
others. Some were
people living in
Christian. Some were
Palestine at
Muslim.
the
Some were this or
time
that.
Roman? Or
Were-
Italians Roman? Or Italians
Yes, because there's
No, no, they're not.
Australia is
They're
Australian.
literally
It
not.
doesn't mean that there's no Lebanese people who live
The
here.
Italians are not Roman, dude. Some of them are English. Some of them are from other parts of the Mediterranean. Some of them are from all over the place. What are you talking
Yes,
about?
but the Ottomans were
Romans
an
spoke
empire
Latin, they don't
that was
speak
based on
Italian.
religiosity, aka Islam.
They weren't a Christian
and
nation.
the ruling class was Turkish.
The ruling elites were in Turkey, if that's what you're trying to say. And by Turkey, we mean Constantinople
ruling
and
elites
Ankara.
were Turkish.
Oh, it wasn't Ankara at the time, but whatever. Depends on what you're defining as a
Ankara
Turk.
at the time. It was Constantinople.
No, Istanbul is Constantinople. Ankara is a different thing.
It's called Constantinople,
You're
bitch.
Even worse than a Redditor, you're a
Ankara and Constantinople are two different cities. Istanbul and Constantinople are the same.
Yeah, I know. I
wait.
said the capital at the time was Constantinople, and it was
All
not
right.
Ankara,
All
because
right, all
Ankara
right.
is in the central
So wait a
parts of
minute, so-
Turkey, modern
Correct.
day, and Constantinople is rightful Greek land
Rightful.
along the Bosphorus.
Based.
Yes.
That is true.
Why?
So wait a
Constantinople
minute,
belongs to the
Snack.
Greeks.
So wait a minute. Snack has
Sure.
argued for a moral system that enables grooming. He's a Zionist.
Where did I do that?
Argues
Hold on,
incessantly.
no, hold on. That's the
He
second
didn't-
time.
he's
That's
a
the
Jew.
second time he's accused me of being a pedophile, by the way.
I didn't accuse you.
He just did.
You're
I'm not a Jew.
dude.
I'm not a
You're
Jew.
So okay, wait a minute. Hold on.
I'm not
wait.
Jewish.
So you,
I'm just a
hold on.
Zionist.
By the way, I have nothing
Arguing
against Jewish
incessantly.
people. I have an issue with Zionism. Completely
So
separate
you-
issue.
What do you call
argue-
Zionism, Happy?
You argue incessantly.
Zionism is
You defend a moral
basically
system that
a
enables-
near-fascist form of governance
And
and
there's
form and like sort of mythological
Yeah, you don't know what it is.
Yeah, you don't know what it is.
argumentation towards the creation of a Jewish
It is
state
nationalism.
in the land that is currently Palestine.
You're talking about Jewish
Israeli-
nationalism or Jewish
Israelis owned it
ethno-nationalism.
The
You're talking.
Israelis
Hold
owned
on.
it
It
first.
is technically,
And you just were
Zionism
arguing
is Jewish
Constantinople's Greek
ethno-nationalism
because the
centered
Greeks were
around the
there
return
first.
of
What is your
ethnic
logic,
Jews and religious
Zionism-
Jews to this place where Palestine currently resides.
Zionism is the belief that there needs to be a Jewish state to exist, that there is a refuge for
Then
people in
don't go
other
to
countries who are
Palestine. There's
Jewish.
some bullshit that's not
Where
inhabited.
can you
like,
go?
I don't know, the
Where can you
alternative
go?
That's right next.
There's
there is an
nowhere that's
alternative
uninhabited.
Jewish oblast in Russia right now. There's an alternative Jewish oblast in Russia right now.
Where do you think
right
the
next to
Jews
China,
fled from,
and
you
there's
retard?
fucking no one there.
Where do you
There's
think all of the
fucking no one
European
there.
Jews fled
Let's take
from?
this guy's a Nazi.
Where do you
Yes,
think
they
the
fled
Jews
from
fled
Russia.
from?
Well, no, Blinky!
Why?
Yes,
Why
they
did they
fled
flee
from
from Russia? Why?
Because the Tsar persecuted the Jews. But is there a Tsar in Russia right now?
Because you're a Nazi.
Do you think Jews are treated well in Russia? Do you know why they're invading Ukraine? Part of the reason is is because of Jews.
It's because they're calling because they're calling Ukraine Nazis all the fucking time.
Yes, and the Nazis are
Like,
bad
at
not
least
because they
learn, like,
killed
what their
Jews. The
weird ass
USSR
justifications
hates.
are.
The USSR
They're not
hates
the USSR
Nazis.
anymore, are they?
Oh no, they're just invading a Soviet.
They're not the
USSR.
The USSR failed. It fell.
The USSR fought the Nazis. The myth is that they were going to have to kill the Nazis in order to defend themselves as a state, in order to defend what would eventually become communism, to defend the Russian
Russia's a good
Empire.
state, by the way. Russia's a good thing.
It's not because of
Killing Nazis
Jews.
is a good thing.
It has
Like,
nothing to
what?
do with Jews. It has nothing to
But
do with
let's talk
Jews.
about
That's
the-
not why they
let's talk
think
about
the
the-
Nazis
Yeah,
were
but the
bad.
justification, part of the justification for the Ukrainian war, at least the public justification, although we both know it's all socioeconomic issues.
The justification for the Ukrainian war on Russia's end is that they want to. They believe that Ukraine.
You can hear us.
They believe that Ukraine is
belonged
part
to them
of
3,000 years ago, just like how Israel belonged to Israel 3,000 years ago.
Ukraine did not belong to Russia 3,000 years ago. What are you talking about?
Just
No,
so
no,
you
it
know,
did.
It's a fucking joke, man.
Jews left Israel. What
Stop
we call
rolling that,
Israel
stop rolling
because
it.
Total
God
heretic
took it
annihilation.
away
Let's go
from
and kill
them.
some. A lot of them.
Their justification is, well, what they say their justification is that they want to they want to stymie NATO encroachment, right? That's their argument. Except it doesn't make sense because then they're going to have Poland right on their borders, which is in NATO.
Look, it's partially due to these geopolitical reasons and like geography when it comes to that, because there's a plateau where everyone can just kind of run across after Ukraine. Like there's more natural barriers within Ukraine, but it's also to do with like oil production, diesel, the fact that it's a petro economy, that sort of thing. But their public justification also partially relies on the fact that essentially that they think the Ukrainians are Nazis because they do have a Nazi paramilitary wing in their military. But also, guess who else is a Nazi paramilitary wing like that's incorporated into their military?
Oh, it's gonna be the IDF or something.
I have an Uber total heretic annihilation. Wait for me, wait for me. Oh, I just got killed.
And like I do think like the current Israeli, like I don't have an issue with Jewish people living in Palestine. I have an issue with an ethno-nationalist government focused around Jewish people.
I also have an issue with the fact that there is a government that is ethnically cleansing people in the West Bank and is, although discretionary, more so than people understand when it comes to Gaza and understandably concerned for its security, is pushing further into Lebanon and into Syria based on this idea of security, but at the end of the day, it's mostly because, hey, this is also conveniently...
It's not based on security, they just want that shit,
Can you let me finish? Can you let me finish? I was about to get to that.
Peter
Thiel wants to turn Gaza into a parking lot.
What you're both missing is that Gaza
into a
Part of it is security, genuinely. That was the justification for even doing the Oslo Accords in the first place, is that they divvy that up and then have some governance in the area to prevent terrorism and jihadism that was happening in the West Bank. Part of it is security, but it also conveniently aligns with the fact that the land that they want is in the West Bank. The land that they want is in the North part because that's where the best land is.
And the land was
okay, but when the British gave them that land back in the 40s, I think it was about 47 if I'm not mistaken.
No, it was earlier. The Balfour Declaration was right after World War I. No, it was earlier. It was right after World War I. No, it was I want to say, I can't remember when the end of World War I is. Let's say 1912. It doesn't matter.
18.
Well,
1918. Thank you.
No, but Israel didn't exist until after World War II. Like the modern state of Israel.
Correct. Well, the governance state of Israel did not exist until 1948. That's when it declared independence. The Balfour Declaration was in 1918. Do you know what the Balfour Declaration is?
Yes, I do. But like, come on, dude. When we split it up and they gained independence, right? There was land given to the Palestinian people, and there was land given to the Israelis. However, the Israelis have continuously encroached on that land.
That's not true.
It is true. Look at the original borders that were drawn, and then look
you're talking about the four fucking picture meme where they're like, oh, here's the Palestinian land, here's the Israeli land, here's what it was before 1948, here's what it was in 1948, here's what it was in 1967, here's what it all that stuff, right? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Not it's not a meme. I'm not talking about a meme. There's
effective
areas of control that aren't official national borders. And maybe the official national borders haven't changed that much, but the effective areas of control have changed quite a bit.
Okay, so what were the effective? No, let me push on this. What were the effective areas of control in Israel, or I guess we're talking about mandated Palestine. What were the effective areas of control of the Palestinians versus the Israelis? Let's say in 1920 or 1930. What were they? This is a trick question. I'm warning you. No, I'm telling you now it's a trick question. I'm just curious to know what you think. I don't want to trick you. I just want you to understand.
I'm gonna be so for real. I just don't have the information right now to know that. I'll have to look that up.
Well, okay. So I'm gonna.
Because I don't like making arguments from ignorance.
That's good. I agree with that. I don't think you should make arguments from ignorance. Right. Exactly. That's my point. No. So. No, but that's okay. No, Blinky, let's not be mean. This is interesting.
Jew.
This is interesting.
Snack, you're a Jew. Snack, you're a Jew. You argue.
If I were a Jew, why would that be a problem? Cover? Why would that be
Why
a
does it
problem?
matter, right?
Yeah,
Well,
like I
because
don't think someone being Jewish is a problem. Like Zionism is bad because
It's
it's,
because
like, basically the ideological.
It's because most people who call themselves anti-Zionist, like this guy, not you, Happy, but like Cover, are actually just anti-Semitic. Anyways, let's get back to
No,
the
for
actual
real, I
point.
love Jewish people. They've got great food, they've got great culture.
The scriptures say the
etc.
Jews are enemies of the entire human race. That's
It's also the only non-proselytizing Christian religion. Also, just about every religious text puts their people above others. That's not unique to Judaism.
Well, then why do the scriptures say that Jews are enemies of the entire human race?
They don't.
God. And
Because they were treated as St. Paul calls Jews the enemies
Because they were
of
treated.
all of mankind.
It's because mankind shunted them out over and over and over again. Yes, they were the continually displaced people because they didn't have a place.
They shunted.
It is. You were correct.
God's son. They shunted God's son.
You spy ass motherfucker! Stop doing that bullshit.
Thank you, Maddox.
It's the same
They
reason why
iced that motherfucker.
racism was,
They whacked him.
They glassed him.
It's the same reason why
Alright,
racism
so
was
Happy. Well, no, I
abundant in
missed-
the 1950s.
I guess they forgot about
Happy, let's get back to the topic at hand. So in the 1920s and the 1930s, the settlements where Palestinians and Jews lived, or we're going to talk about not Palestinians, we're going to talk about Arabs here in this case, the Arab Muslims and Christians that were not Jewish, right? That would later on be considered
Palestinian
Palestinian.
is different from Arab because like there
It
are
is.
like
There
non-Arab
are Arab Jews.
Palestinians,
Correct.
there are Christian Palestinians,
Correct.
there are Muslim
No.
Palestinians, etc. There's multiple
that-
groups in Palestine that are Palestinians, and there's Jewish Palestinians as well.
Yes, and there are Arab Jews. Yes, I know. I'm correct. So here's the thing, though. We're talking about the Arab, what's usually called the Arab-Zionist conflict, right? That's what we're talking about here. The reason it's called that is because once you get further into the 30s, you have the idea of pan-Arabism or pan-fundamentalist Muslim ideology
Gamal
taking
Abdel
over that
Nasser,
area.
correct?
So so you get this, sorry. So you get all these states that get formed at the same time that the Balfour Declaration happens. At the end of World War I, France and the United Kingdom carve out all these different countries, and a lot of them go to people that helped them fight in World War I to oppose the Ottoman Empire, because the Muslims who were living in the Levant during the Ottoman Empire did not like living in the Ottoman Empire because they could not.
Yeah, we promised like most of Hijaz, like we even promised Israel to some Arabic people.
Wait,
who
start over, I wasn't
basically
listening.
had the effective control over like Mecca, and then we just didn't give it to them because Lamel.
No, we gave them Lebanon, we gave them Jordan, all those states that get carved out
Yeah, we
during
gave
that
them, like,
time were given
Iraq
to them.
and stuff, but just like not exactly what we promised. Like we promised way
gave them.
more.
The United Kingdom promised 100% to give the Jews Israel, to give them that power, or to give them the Palestine.
Ultra mega
That's what
It was actually promised
with
to no, it was actually promised to the people who had effective control over Mecca. I think the only place where they're still in control is actually Jordan, in the modern day.
They gave them Jordan.
Yeah, it was actually all promised to pretty much the Jordanian like royal family, like that group of people, like that royal family.
I know nothing,
but
nothing about that time period.
thank you, Mr. Chicken. Very interesting.
Very informative.
And so like they did promise that to them earlier on in the war, but after the war the promises changed and we did not give them anything, like pretty much anything that we promised. It was like Iraq, Jordan, and
We
I
gave
think that
them
was
no, that's
pretty
not
much
true.
it.
We gave them most of what we promised. We gave most of the
No,
Arabs
we
that
gave them
fought.
like Iraq and Jordan, and like we gave the Sauds.
Why
like,
did we give
Saudi
them
Arabia.
Iraq? Why did we give them Iraq? Do you know why?
Because we promised them Iraq, but we promised them way more than Iraq. We basically promised them the entirety of the Levant.
We did. The only thing that we carved out for the Jews was Palestine. That was it, and we did that very
that was
early
carved
on.
out, I think that was carved out after the war.
No, it was promised beforehand because the Jews helped fight in World War I.
When was that carved out exactly? I don't want to make an argument from ignorance, so I'm just gonna ask. Because like my knowledge on Israel sort of does start to peter out before World War II. And I'll be frank. I'll be
I'll
honest.
look it up. I'll look it up just to be sure.
But just like give me a minute. I've got to go AFK for a sec. I'll only be a little minute.
Okay.
I wonder if he knows who else was involved in the World War II with the Nazis.
We should keep that
Huh? Who? I did it!
Alright, Red, let's win this.
All of them.
Let's do it for Palestine.
They were the
Oh my god, that sniper's pocketing. What a pussy.
Teleporter going
You call me a pussy? I just saw it.
You don't need a pocket. No one needs a pocket.
No.
Do not turn all talk off. Go fuck yourself.
This is the most entertainment I've had all day, bro.
No, genuinely. This is my podcast.
Of course, the tryhard wants to turn it off. What a bitch.
Back.
I need your
Ultra mega kill.
No!
No shot. Is that Joe Papa in the flesh?
Dirty. Spy in the water. Dirty.
Spy around you, Pyro. Pyro main, there's spy around you.
Outstanding. Unstoppable.
I actually cleared him out. Good job, team.
Hello?
Okay, so I read up on it just to be sure. Are you still there?
Yeah, no, I went to the toilet for a second.
Yeah. So you were actually right, but the trick of it is it was a difference between what the British government promised versus what the territory, like the people who were administered over the territory promised. They promised two different things, so there was a double cross there in a sense.
Yeah, we completely fucked over
Good game.
the Meccans there, and it was really sad.
Affected by that. It wasn't something that the Jews
Yeah,
did
but like
wrong.
the Jews weren't already there, basically. Like I
Yes, they
disagree
were.
with Zionism, like not because I have any issue with like Jewish people being in like Palestine, but because they're displacing people, right? And like that, it's based on ethno-nationalism because like there is a state there that prioritizes Jewish interests over any other interest. And like if they went to like a completely uninhabited land and then did that, like, you know, that'd be fine. But the issue is like they have to kind of like prioritize and do apartheid.
Well, you're talking about a counterfactual that doesn't exist. What's a completely uninhabited land that they could have gone to?
Well, like they've been given like that bit in Manchuria, which is basically fucking uninhabited.
What if the Jews are the best people on the planet and they deserve to be able to kill everybody else?
You know, you shouldn't be displacing people if you're going to if you're going to be ethno-nationalist, you should not be displacing people who were already there.
What are you
if you're
defining
going to
as
go there and be like,
hold
it's a government for Palestinians and Israelis, then no one would have an issue with it.
What does the Balfour Declaration say?
Like when
like my issue here is just like
There's a spy. There's
No,
a spy.
Happy. Take a minute. Go read what the Balfour Declaration says. I just want you to read what it says.
Panic.
It's literally a paragraph.
Dirty. Spy in the water.
Hang on, what's it called?
The Balfour Declaration. Balfour, I believe.
Balfour?
Balfour Declaration, yes. Never has so little.
Okay, but like, I just took a little squiz, a tiny little squiz, and I think you're, like I didn't read the whole thing, obviously, that was way too quick for me to actually do that, but
that's okay.
I think, like, your point here is basically that the British people promised Israel to the Jews when the Balfour Declaration was made, correct?
No, other
Is
way
like that what you're
around.
gonna say?
Where do I say?
Like
Other
for
way
a Jewish
around.
state, specifically.
Well, no, other way around. They promised to the Jews that there would be
Oh my
a
god,
Zionist
the
state.
Wikipedia page is longer than the actual
It's a lot longer, yes. Well, because the implications are crazy. But they promised to the Jews. They promised to the Jews. Can I? It's easy to find.
Like, no
so
one
they-
has an
they-
issue with Jewish people living in like the land that is
I need your
Palestine.
head,
They have
I'm
an issue
sorry.
with like the ethno-nationalism of the current Israeli state. And
Right.
also, Zionism as an ideology was created by a man
Oh my God,
in like
no, don't do
around
this.
1914, and he was a Nazi.
Okay, yeah, I'm
No,
not
you wa-
taking the time to read that.
Like, well,
He
he was
was
a
not a
fascist.
Nazi.
They're slightly
He was-
different.
How is he a fascist? Who's okay? First of all, who created Zionism? Who are you saying created Zionism?
He's like
it's
that
Herzl.
dude with a beard. I'll have to go
It's
look
Herzl,
up his
right?
name.
You're talking about. I assume you're talking
Is
about
it
Theodore
Herzl?
Herzl.
Was he? Is he the Slovakian guy?
There's an evil century in that stupid fucking pond in the middle.
They were socialists, just so you know.
They
Most of the
replaced it.
starting Zionists were
They're dumb.
socialists, including Herzl, I'm pretty sure.
You're stupid. And you're a poopy head.
Like in what way was he a socialist though? I'm trying to read the Wikipedia article, but I can't turn on my mic if I'm like reading that basically.
I mean, they identified as socialists. They believed in distributing a community
So did the
that was
Nazis.
well, sure, that's fine. But what the Nazis actually were fascists. That's fine. I know.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's-
I know. I get what you're saying. The difference is that their ideology wasn't fundamentally predisposed to, hey, we need to take people that are not us and make them lesser. There's nothing about Zionism that says that inherently.
Yeah, they're not.
Well, like okay, but like no one has an issue
That's
with
different
Jewish
from
people living in
Nazism.
Palestine.
Nazism
Like-
prioritizes a race, prioritizes a phenotype, right?
Well, that's like the
first of all,
sort of
it's called
assumption
fact
baked
checking.
into Zionism.
No, it isn't.
Like that's
Not at all.
Like, that's an assumption that's baked into Zionism. If you're saying
you
like we should
actually- no,
prioritize
that's
the
not
Jewish
true.
people and their return to this homeland, then yes, it sort of lends itself to fascism.
How is refuge the same thing as fascism?
Well, like, it depends on what you mean by refuge, like, right? Like, if there was a
I
state
mean a
and
state,
you had
yeah.
Palestinians and you had Israelis and they both had equal, like, representation, like, let's say
Sure,
a single state
sure.
solution within Israel where they have
Sure.
a council of everyone else and a council of Jews
Sure.
and they were both equally represented. I don't know if anyone would have an actual issue with that, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
But
Well,
the
there
issue
is. There's a.
like,
Hold
way-
on. There is a reason why that hasn't happened. What is the reason why that hasn't happened?
Shit about Muslims.
Because the Palestinians existed there before the British basically promised it over, and so they got pretty understandably a bit pissed off, and they currently now, because of years of conflict, hate the Jews, and they're anti-Semitic, and they're not very nice.
So you got it backwards.
I don't like them.
Happy, you've got it backwards. They hated the Jews first. That's why they didn't want to have a liberal state where they could live with them. That was the reason. Yep.
I think also low key, like you guys are kind of giving like more the historical background of it, but like realistically, recently, like Zionism and stuff like that is absolutely like deplorable, horrible, like Israeli.
Yeah, like they're killing kids
Zionism?
modernly. Like in the modern age, they're killing kids. Like let's like.
That's not
let's argue that.
Zionism, though.
Well, no,
Oh my
hold on,
God,
no,
God,
no,
you
no,
don't
It's
know
Zionism.
no,
That's
no,
the
no,
logical
hold on.
conclusion of what Zionism will turn into.
No, that is what leftists have decided that Zionism defines as, so that they can attack Israel as an entire concept.
No,
That's why. No, that's why the
I
whole
get it.
solution is, hey,
No,
let
because if you
Palestinians
guys
take it
went off to
over.
the fuck off Al Ghaib Desert and like if you went to the Saharan Desert when no one was, no one would give a fuck.
Move out of the
So
way!
I don't know who said. No, hold on. I don't know who said it, but like I get what you're saying of like where people might be like pressing to think that's what it is. But honestly, it is what's happening, and like Judaism as in itself is like not all of them are bad, but Zionists in
Every
itself.
time it goes back to Jews. You see that? It's inherently a problem
No,
with
he
Judaism.
said
I
he's
mean, I ain't
literally
gonna
said
lie to
something
you,
that like
bro.
helps your point. He said Judaism isn't bad, Zionism is.
No, he said Judaism, not all of them are
Zionism?
bad. That's what he said. He started with Judaism.
Okay. You know, well, it's because Judaism and Zionism
please explain
are
to me what
two of the same thing.
Zionism
It's kind
is?
of like It's kind of like how Christianity, they have different denominations. There's Catholicism,
Yeah, like it's like
Christianity,
Christian
and then other
nationalism.
denominations.
Zionism is not a subset of Judaism.
Zionism
it's a
is
political
like Christian
philosophy.
nationalism.
Oh my God! No, it is not. Oh my God!
Yes,
Guys.
it is. It's like exactly like Christian nationalism. Where you want to like
Listen,
create a
I don't
state
think any
based
of us
on
are
like Jewish
Zionists
people.
or listen, I don't think any of us are Zionists or Jews. Like, you don't got to get
You
pressed
guys
about
are
it. Like, just have a
running-
conversation.
I'm trying to, but they're talking over me, so I can't even define anything. They're just saying,
Well,
"Oh,
that's
yes,
what
it
I'm
is.
saying.
Yes, it
Give everyone
is."
a turn.
Okay, can you type
You
it in
guys
text
aren't giving
chat
me a
what
turn.
Zionism is?
It's fine.
Zionism is a geopolitical project that is
span the
designed
bridge.
to give a refuge to the Jewish people. That is what Zionism is. Period. End of story. That is what it is.
Can I ask a question? Why
for
does
it.
it
Ask your
have to be
question.
in Palestine?
It doesn't necessarily have to be in Palestine, but that's where it is. Why should it be anywhere else?
Because there
I
are
will
already
say
people
this.
there.
Over what a Roman
I will
There's
say
people
this
in
much
other
too.
places too. Where else could you put it where there
Yeah,
wouldn't
but
be
if
other
you
people?
went fuck off desert
I don't know,
where there's
the
like
Hawaiian
5
Islands?
people.
Alright, I'll give you a better answer for why it had to be in Palestine. Because out of anywhere else in the world, that was the place where you could...
Right? Are you that fucking
Because...
dumb?
It's because that was the place where they had the most credibility to, this is a land that we could say we have a historical tie to that is our own. That was the reason.
But the
your
Jews in
argument-
Germany are completely ethnically distinct, and
No, they're
honestly,
not.
frankly,
No, they're not.
religiously distinct from
That's
the
not
Jews
true.
that existed 4,000 years ago.
That's not true. There are genealogical lines that you could trace from that, but that's not something I personally care about.
Ouch.
The reason that that
Like
matters
German
is only...
Jews,
No,
like
no,
the
hold on.
Ashkenazi specifically, are very different.
They're not. You can look at it. You can look it up right now. The genealogy between Ashkenazi Jews and Jews native to the Levant are actually pretty close. That's actually pretty confirmable that they are traced from the exact same thing, same lineage.
Can I ask, and I'm not doubting your knowledge, but I'm just curious on my own
Sure,
sense,
go
like,
for it.
where do you have
Yeah.
all this knowledge?
I read books. That's why. I read Benny
Fair-
Morris's book.
fair-
That was the main one. that
Are
was
they
worth
Zionist
reading.
books? Like,
fair
how
enough.
did
I'm
you
just
make sure they
curious.
weren't, like, biased? That's my only question.
What are you defining as a Zionist book?
I
If
don't
you mean
fucking know.
liberal Zionism, yes. If you mean the
Something produced
Hold on.
by a Zionist.
Well, that's the
Like
problem because
something
yes,
with bias baked in.
everything has bias baked in. There's no such thing as a
Unfortunately,
completely
that's a-
unbiased source.
That's fair enough.
Well,
That
okay,
is
like
pretty fair.
the Communist Manifesto is an unbiased source on like
No,
what
it isn't.
communism is,
No, it-
because
no, it
it's the
fucking
guy
is.
who
Dirty
created
stuff.
communism describing what he thinks communism is, and then you have to make your own like
Do you
decisions
think the
and
person?
thoughts
No,
about
hold
that.
on. That's not true at all. It's a manifesto. It's meant to sell the idea of communism to people. Do you think the person
It
who's
is
trying to
meant to
sell
sell
an
it.
ideology? Yeah, exactly. So it's unbiased. Do you think? Okay, let me
In
turn
the
the question
sense
around.
that,
No,
like, if
hold
you
on, hold
have
on.
to read
Let-
it in an unbiased manner,
Okay, well that can be
right?
said
Like
for anything.
you do have
No,
to be
hold
aware
on.
that he is trying to sell the idea.
Okay, I could say the same thing about any of these books then. I could say, well, this is a Zionist, this is their Zionist perspective, I have to keep that in mind, but if I keep that in mind, I'm unbiased?
But like how? Yeah, basically, if you keep like the bias in mind, you can read something in an unbiased way, even if the text itself is biased.
Great, then I'm gonna go
But
ahead
like,
and say
what
that
I'm
I read it in an
asking is, have
unbiased
you
way.
seen, like, have you read other sources basically that are not Zionist?
Yes, I've read Finkelstein, I've read Pape, I've read all the people that the anti-Zionist movement likes to talk about. I haven't read them fully in terms of their whole books. I've watched their arguments, and I have read lectures, and I have read papers that they have published.
I'll say this, dude. Like, I love studying religion, and I do appreciate that, like, you read books on it. But maybe you could educate me more. But from what I've understood about Zionism directly,
Sure.
and I do hope like you don't get mad at me for it. But like from
That's
what
okay.
I've read, like Zionism seems like a disgusting and I can agree with like Christianity or even Catholicism has disgusting points. But like Zionism from every religion I've read upon, like I identify with Buddhism more, but Zionism has been like a disgusting.
Zionism
like, they
isn't
think
a
that
religion.
people should be
It is very
slaves.
separate.
Not a religion.
A denomination of a religion. Isn't it a denomination?
No, it is
My
not.
bad,
Jewish people
my
are
bad.
an
I'm not
religious
educated
group,
enough
but
on it,
Zionism
but
is
that's
not a
what I thought it
religion.
was.
Zionism is a
It's basically
geopolitical
saying we
movement.
should. Yeah, like we should
Okay, fair
prioritize
enough. I didn't know
the
enough then, that's my
ethno-religious
bad.
group of Jews.
That's okay.
But you're not like necessarily ethnically Jewish if you're religiously Jewish, and you're not necessarily religiously Jewish if you're ethnically Jewish.
Whether Zionism
to be
is
clear-
religious or not, but
To be
whatever
clear,
the
anybody
political
who
movement
identifies
was,
as a Jew in Israel does get the same rights as any other Jew. That's not any different.
And then what
I'll say
happened to
this
the
much:
Ethiopians?
if Zionism, regardless of
Except for
religion,
Orthodox Jews, a little different, but that's okay.
the political
Yeah, well,
point
the
of
Orthodox Jews
Zionism,
shouldn't
from
like
what I can
have
tell,
like
just seems
issues because they're
absolutely
different,
fucking
like
fucked.
religiously.
Well, they don't have to. They don't get to fight in the IDF and stuff like that. Like there's certain things. Although there's contention about whether or not they should.
No,
That's an
they're being
internal
forced
debate.
to now. Like about a month, 2 months ago, I think.
Yeah, I
they're
think the
getting
referendum-
conscripted
yeah.
into the IDF now.
Yeah,
It
I think the
changed
referendum
just
has
very
changed.
recently though, so I don't.
That's correct. Yeah,
I don't
that's
blame
true.
you for that. It just changed very recently.
No, that's true.
I'll keep
It's just
it-
historically that hasn't been the case.
I'll
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
it
historically.
real.
But I don't think like
think-
you know Orthodox people shouldn't in any way be like persecuted.
Sure.
Like, I'm not even like, I don't even identify with like a certain religion, but I do think that Jews directly, like, I don't have any beef with them, but like, the fight between like Holy Land and stuff is like, too many people die. Too
It's
much
not
shit is
so
going on.
much-
Even the argument itself.
It's
like,
not even
even-
so
it's-
much. It's not even so much about it being Holy Land. That is part of it. That is definitely part of like the pan-Arab element of it. But that's not really the fundamental part of why this conflict exists.
Absolutely not. It's
That's not part of
no.
the
I can
Pan-Arab
absolutely
part.
agree
Come
with
on,
you.
the
It's
Pan-Arabism
not a
comes
part
from like
of the.
Gamal Abdel Nasser a lot in like the geopolitical sense and.
No,
and the
that's not
Assad.
true. No, that's not true. Pan-Arabism started in the
hold on.
1930s. You know
Let
about
me-
the
I'll let
Arab
you
revolts and
guys-
troubles.
I can let you guys
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
but
Let me
like,
get this.
but
Let me
then when
get
it
this
comes
point
to
across.
Pan-Arabism and like its effects geopolitically in the region, it's mostly like coming from Gamal Abdel Nasser.
What
That's
I was
not
trying to
true.
say,
Nasser
though-
comes later.
In like an ideological sense.
That's also, well, no, that's not true because there was
Because
already a
it's the
pan-Arab
Ba'athist
coalition being
parties,
formed in the
right?
30s.
Like no, like it's specifically Ba'athism. Sorry, I should have specified that, but like yeah, specifically Ba'athism was sort of more Gamal Abdel Nasser.
I will say I joined this conversation kind of midway. Like I'm just kind of fucking around and like I joined midway through. But where was this coming from? I'm not judging anyone. I'm just curious
This
where
all
this started.
started with like someone else who's not even in the conversation anymore said gay people are bad.
They are
They
not.
said gay people are bad.
The gay people are good. I love gay people. But someone else
No,
said
they said gay people are bad.
yeah,
How did that
some
come to the
dude, not
Jews,
me,
though?
said
What
gay
the
people are
fuck?
bad, and now it's come to like Zionism because the dude who said gay people are bad was also anti-Semitic.
Oh, I see. That's crazy.
And so like I'm fine with Jewish people, love Jewish people, latkes are amazing, etc.
All right,
but
but no, you're just
what
wrong
religion
about
do
the
you guys
Ba'athism
identify
point.
with? Or like,
I just
you
like
guys
dislike
think?
the modern Israeli state, pretty much.
Hold on. What
Which
guy-
I also
what-
do. I dislike the modern Israeli government. We're in no disagreement there.
Like
I
if
disagree.
we
that's-
basically just
that's
disagree
great.
with the genocide, if we both hate the genocide and we're just like, I don't really care where Jews be living, I just don't like the genocide, then we don't really disagree.
That is a
I
great
disagree
point.
fundamentally on calling it a genocide because it's not a genocide, but we'll get to that later.
It
It's
is a
okay.
genocide. They're killing people. They're killing children. God damn it. That's genocide denial, bro.
Okay, wait. Hold on. Before you guys dig into
Like the
this one,
United
I'm
Nations
try-
have called it a genocide. Come on.
Hold on, before you guys dig into this one, I'm curious, religion-wise, whether you identify with religion or not, agnostic, whatever the fuck, where you guys
I am
stand in like
atheist.
Christian,
I'm a
Catholic,
Catholic.
atheist, Catholic, okay. I was just
I'm an
curious.
atheist.
Are you
I'm a
agnostic
Catholic.
or atheist? Agnostic or atheist?
Atheist, not agnostic.
I think
Okay.
Christianity is bullshit.
Have you guys read up on Buddhism at all?
That's fair, because
I
most
am,
Christians
yes,
are
that's me.
kind of shit.
Buddhism, I don't know if you guys curious at all in studying religion, because I like studying
Oh,
religion.
I've studied
don't say I'm
Buddhism, don't worry.
agnostic. Buddhism, I would say, in my opinion, of course, like no judgment to your opinion, I think Buddhism is beautiful.
Yes, I found Buddhism.
You know, the Buddha is a Catholic saint.
Okay, so can we
So
get
it's
back
true
on
and it's
track real quick?
false. Yeah, you guys can. Sorry, I distracted.
I
you. Go ahead.
apologize. Yeah. I just want to
No,
get
you're
the
fine.
point.
Go ahead. I interrupted you, Benjamin.
We should not gonna sit down where I can get you.
No, happy. It's okay if we don't
Mr.
agree. I
Mr.
just want to
Snake,
talk. No, it's okay if we don't
Can I
agree.
say
I
one
just want
thing?
to. Yeah, of course.
I genuinely think we're not going to disagree. We're not going to agree. And like the conversation is not going to be like productive in a debate sense. Because
Well, I
like
don't
I
wanna
see
debate
like what's going on in Gaza where they're like shooting kids or whatnot, or they're double tapping or they're killing journalists, and I'm just like, that's super fucked up. I don't agree with it. But other than that, I don't really care where like Jewish people live. They should be able to live wherever the fuck they want, right?
Okay, I mean, I don't disagree
and
with
I am
that.
going to call
I don't
what's
like war crimes
happening
either.
in Gaza a genocide, but I don't want to get into an argument about what is or what is not a genocide.
Then we don't have
especially in
to.
the UN and like, yeah. Basically, I'm saying like I don't think we're going to agree, and I don't think it's just going to turn into a yelling match, basically.
That's fine. We don't have to. I just want to at least get to the point of we talk about, you know, Zionism and what Zionism means and why I can agree with criticizing the modern Israeli state while also believing that Israel still has a right to exist. And we can talk about a couple of different angles to attack that from, if you'll allow me.
But like, I think an Israel, like, I don't think an ethno-nationalist state is ever going to have a right to exist. So if it's purely prioritizing Jewish people's like needs, I don't think any state should be doing that.
Why not? Well, okay,
like,
let me say two things.
Purely...
Well, let me say two things about that. So, number one, you can kind of think like, well, what's the alternative? We have lots of states that are essentially ethno-nationalists in some way, shape, or form. You can look at the states that are hold on.
Even ethno-nationalism generally.
Okay.
I have one thing to say. How about
Yeah,
this?
go for it.
We send Israelites to the moon so that way they can be left
Okay,
alone.
so anyway, so you have a bunch of ethno-national states around Israel. You have a bunch of ethno-nationalist states around Israel that were created for the Arabs, for the Muslims in those areas, right? Do you disagree with that?
Some of them are like that, yeah.
Yeah, well, a good amount of them are. The majority of them.
Yeah, like, but like, no one says that the Middle East is a functional place.
Oh, no, Dig, what were you saying?
No, like, no one...
Some ethno-state like you claiming they're also Christians and Muslims that live there as well.
I know, I was gonna get to that. That was my second point. Oh my... I was gonna get to that, yes. So the reality is that Israel is not an ethno-nationalist state. That's the biggest problem with this argument. So that's why I asked you to go read the Balfour Declaration, because what does the Balfour Declaration actually say? This is going all the way back.
Okay.
This is going hold on, but this is going back to the 1910s and talking about how Israel was set up as a state initially. The argument is that, well, it was created as an ethno-nationalist state by Europe, but that's not true. That's not what Balfour was, nor is that what the tenets of Zionism were to begin with. Herzl did not want to ethnically
specifically for religious or ethnic.
That's not why they created it. That's not. Well, they didn't create it for a religious ethno group so that they could be superior. That's what ethno-nationalism means.
No, but superior does, like, if the whole purpose of a state is to forward a religious or ethnic group,
every state ever formed in history. No.
Separate but equal here.
Every state ever created in history is meant to serve an in-group. Every single state. That's not different from Israel and anything else.
I think that's shit.
Okay, so then the alternative is no state.
Not every state, but
yes, every state.
I guess.
Okay, what about the CNT5 state in Barcelona?
Which state?
Barcelona, Civil War period, Spain.
Spy on the bridge.
Civil War created for the people that were fighting against the regime at the time. I don't know the history, so I can't really tell you.
Okay, they were anarchists.
Okay. But they created a state, right?
Completely cucked by, no, kinda. It's a bit complicated because they're at war.
Sure.
But they completely cucked by the Stalinists by the end anyway. But like the in-group there is basically just like the groups that they were fighting against at the time were the democratic-ish, socialist democratic forces of the Spanish Parliament and the nationalist forces of Franco. You know who Franco is, right? Franco's the one who won. And so the in-group there is essentially like politically divided, which is very different from like an ethnic or religious divide because you don't really choose those. You can kind of choose your religion to an extent, but not.
Do you think Zionists when they formed Israel weren't politically divided?
They would have been politically divided, but I don't think like the formation of the state of Israel was necessarily built around the political divide between the Jewish people. I think it was based on the forwarding of the religio-ethnic group of the Jews at the time, especially since if you look at a lot of the literature surrounding the Jews who initially went to Israel, a lot of the literature says like the Jews in the Middle East at the time were like basically subhuman, but maybe those are like extremely fringe groups that were part of Israel.
Well, I mean, the first Zionists that were there were the people that, I would have to check. I'm pretty sure that early on it was mostly people that were fleeing Europe, and then you got people that were fleeing the Levant, but I'd have to double check. There were Jews that were already in the territory
if I was
at the
a Jew
time.
at the time, like if I was a Jew at the time, I'd probably flee to like Israel. Like I don't have an issue with Jewish
course.
people being in Israel. It's like the formation
Oh, I
of like
understand
the
that.
structure of the state.
But this is why I'm getting back to the fact that it's not an ethno-religious, it's not an ethno-nationalist state because it doesn't put the Jews as superior. It does, I will say this, it does
There's a difference
create
between
a state.
superior and trying to forward a group's interests. Like maybe they
What are
don't
the-
think
what
the
are the
Jewish people are
Jews'
superior.
interests?
It's just like the interests of the ethnic group, right? In
No,
the
it's the
same way,
interests
like,
of Israel.
well, no, Britain's kind of fucked up right now. In the same way that Japan is trying to forward the interests of the Japanese people, but if you go to Japan, you're probably going to be legally like treated the same as a Japanese person, right? Except for
Sure,
when it comes
and-
to the entrance of bars and whatnot, because like
Well,
they have their own
well,
weird shit going on.
You're really not. I mean, people who travel to a state are usually not treated the same as civilians, and that would
No,
be no
not
different
travel,
in Israel.
not travel, like live as a citizen. Like if you're a citizen of a state,
Yeah, they
you
should
should
be
not be
treated the
treated
same.
any differently based on religious or religion or ethnicity.
So you agree? So let's just go through some facts real quick. So you agree that there are Muslims who live in Israel, there are Christians who live in Israel, there are Arab, there
And
are
the
Arab
Muslims, but, like, the Muslims
Arab
are treated the
Christians.
same.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. They're behind walls. There's checkpoints. There's like all this shit. It's apartheid
Okay.
over there.
No. Okay. So let me reel back a little bit. I'm not talking about Palestinians living in Palestine. I'm talking about Arabs and Muslims living in Israel. You know, those are two separate
get
groups.
treated like shit.
They're still going at it.
So, to be clear, you have Palestinians that do live in those Palestinian areas, that live in West Bank, live in Gaza, right? And then you also have people that live in just the general region of Israel, that live, you know, wherever, in Tel Aviv, you know, all those different places, that are Muslim, that are Arab, that are all these different things. They are not Jews. Right. Do you acknowledge that?
Okay, hear me out. Like
Sure.
I do acknowledge that. I'll say that there's like non-Arab Jews that
Christians.
live there, but I'm like and Christians, but the Christians get treated like shit as well. But before
Do
I
they?
get into that, they do. They get spit on. They've been kicked off the Dome of the Rock, etc. There's lots of stuff going on with Christians in Israel at this current time,
All right,
especially
now I'm
since
gonna
tensions
I'm gonna
so
stop.
high.
I'm gonna stop you there for a minute. So, do those people have freedom of movement in and out of Israel?
Somewhat, but like, did the Jews
No,
have
not
freedom of
somewhat, they-
movement inside and outside of Germany before the Holocaust started? Yeah, because they wanted to be kicked. They wanted to kick them out.
I'm not talking about the Palestinians. I'm talking about Christians and Muslims living in Israel. I'm talking about people that aren't
Yes,
living
they
in
do
the West
have
Bank.
freedom of movement, but they're being treated
Correct.
like shit.
No, they're not. They choose to live there. They have freedom of movement, so
No,
they
they
choose to
didn't-
live there.
Yeah, but like the Jews chose to live in Germany, did they not? Like they had freedom to move out.
No,
saw
they
the
didn't. That was the
Holocaust
whole.
coming.
That's the whole point of it being
No,
an occupation.
they had the freedom to move out. Do you not know about like the fucking treaty they tried to sign with like England about Israel and Palestine at the time, where you could change in your like assets and your money from German marks and,
That's
and
not
your property
freedom of
into like
movement.
Palestinian code.
That's not
But
freedom of
they were
movement.
going
That's
to
ethnic
ship them off-
cleansing.
They were going to ship them off to
That's
Palestine,
ethnic
right?
cleansing. That's not freedom of movement. My point
It
is
is
that
ethnic cleansing, but
No,
like,
listen,
but, like, just
no, you're
saying,
not
like,
under-
we treat
you're not
you guys like shit, but
understanding,
you have the
Joe.
option to leave.
Happy, you're
Saying
not
like we treat
understanding.
you guys like shit, but you have the option to
They
leave. It's
don't.
not like
You're misunderstanding. It's not that they don't leave. It's that people go there. It's not a question of these are people that they're treated like shit, but that's
Christians
they're
have
gonna
lived there
they're gonna
before
put up
the
with that.
Ashkenazi have.
Correct. Well, I mean,
hold on,
yes,
hold
they
on.
have. That's true.
The Christians are far more native than any like Israeli.
Hold on. I'm gonna keep
Not
it a bug with
necessarily.
both
It
of-
depends on what you
hold
mean by
on.
that.
Hold on. I'm gonna keep it a bug with both of y'all. You both
As long as
are
the
very
Israelis are
educated.
Christians.
Hold on. You both are very educated in the subjects you speak on, but you guys will never agree on what you're speaking of.
That's what I tried to tell him before.
I don't care about agreeing. That's fine. We can choose not to agree. My point here is to have a conversation that we can like learn more about this. That's my goal.
I mean, fuck it, but it's hard, but low key, like I'm not gonna
Like,
lie,
my
like
point
I
before
get
was,
it.
like,
It's just so hard to have these conversations. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, we're playing on a Skyle server, bro. We playing on a community server.
What else?
I agree.
I mean,
they can
it's not
talk
serious.
if they want.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
serious.
no,
We can do what we want.
I get it with y'all.
Alright, so let's just kind of go back to the point. So,
yeah, go ahead. Fuck it.
all right. So I'm going to illustrate a couple things here. So I'm going to talk about the positions of Palestinians, and again, I'm trying to be careful here. I'm trying to say Arab Zionist to differentiate it, not because I don't believe in Palestinian as an identity. I'm saying that because that's where the conflict starts, is before when we have mandated Palestine. Because when we have mandated Palestine, the Jews are technically Palestinians, right? So I'm trying to frame this as an Arab Zionist conflict because that's the source of the conflict. It's this source between the pan-Arab nationalist identity and the Zionist identity. These are two different political movements that have at different times tried to coexist but ultimately have not been able to. That's the source of the conflict.
I'm going to bed. Good night. Y'all have fun.
Good night, Fart. So, so they're happy? Are you okay with that?
Look, I really don't think we're going to like come to an agreement here, though, right? Because, like, even like no matter how the Israeli state was formed, right? I don't have an issue with like Jewish people existing or living in Palestine, right? Like no one has an issue with that.
But the problem you have is sourced based on this
It's
idea
displacement
of
and like
nativism.
murder from
Right.
IDF.
Right, and my argument, okay. Yeah, that's the argument we're making, is that's a reductive way of looking at it.
No, the argument is you're causing harm to people by killing children.
What does that have to do with
Like,
how
it's
they
not
keep
that hard to
being
understand. Like, if they kill kids, it's bad.
So Hamas killed 1,200 people, including women and children, on October 7th.
Yeah, and they're bad. They're a terrorist organization, are they not?
Yeah, sure.
Dude,
Yes,
nobody's
I agree.
arguing that
Yeah, so
Hamas
both are
are
bad.
good people.
It's pretty-
Literally nobody
it's-
is saying Hamas is good people.
And I'm not saying
Yeah,
they
no
are.
one's saying that.
I'm not saying they are either.
No, I know. So you can't bring that up as a counter argument.
It's not a counter argument.
But you just tried to use it. It's not a counter.
You're interrupting me before. You're interrupting me before you even got to explain why I brought it
the
up.
entire time, so I don't even want to hear it.
You're just morally outraged because you don't agree with me. It's fine, whatever. So anyway, the reason I bring that up is because when we talk about what a Palestinian state would look like, that's how we have to extrapolate the value of these actions.
The creation of the Jewish state in Palestine was a mistake to begin with because it was always going to lead to this bullshit.
Where else would you
It
make
should have
a
been created
a state?
somewhere, anywhere else.
Anywhere else you put it, you're gonna have some kind
Yeah,
of
we could have
conflict.
fucking put you in the Simpson Desert over here. No one would care.
You wouldn't be able to survive in that kind of situation. That's the whole point. You need to be somewhere where you can
survived in the
build.
Simpson Desert for years, you know.
Not as a state of refuge. That's the point. It needed to be a place where they could go to
But,
and
like,
actually
you could
build a
exist
society.
there. Like
this
there's
is
no,
why.
like
this is why I wanted to get back to the
Australia is very
Herzl stuff.
Dirty.
Happy, can I just like talk for like 2 seconds without being interrupted? If that's okay with you. It's for a little bit.
Okay, but give me like 30 seconds to go outside and get something. I need to get a drink.
So
Like water.
to say something.
Okay, so what are y'all's arguments? I'm trying to figure this out. What side
Jetty,
everybody's on.
I'm not gonna debate with you in the middle of this conversation. I'm just not gonna do it.
No, I'm not trying to debate. I'm not trying to debate.
You
I just
literally
wanna know.
interrupted me because you were outraged. Shut the fuck up.
I was mad, yes, but now I realize that was a poor decision. I just want to understand what each side.
Well, you don't get to have it. I'm sorry. You can be quiet.
No, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
But based on what fucking Happy said about bringing up that they're killing children and all that shit,
Yeah.
it's nonsense because in the first place, that's where the terrorists are. They're hiding behind
We
them
are
on
Charlie
purpose.
Kirk, we carry the flame.
Correct, but I'm never going to be able to get to that point. It's just not going to happen at this rate.
Yeah, that's what he doesn't understand, is that this is the kind of stuff that we have to do.
Well, that's why I'm trying to get to the Zionist writings and like the whole mapping of where Palestinian, or again, I have to be careful here, Arabs and Zionists were before the Balfour Declaration, after the Balfour Declaration, but before independence, and then eventually I want to talk about 67.
But he wants to conflate whatever they're doing now to however they came up to be in the first place. It's not fair.
Fucking 6-7. Yeah, 6-7's gonna show up eventually. Well, because the entire reason I would bring up 6-7 is because a lot of people see it as, well, Israel just kept expanding. The history doesn't agree with that. Israel is actually won more land that it's given up than it's kept. Like, the entire Sinai Peninsula was given to Egypt. Yeah, the Sinai Peninsula was given to Egypt in Camp David.
But when they like sort of forced to do that by the UN though, like wasn't that like a UN resolution that happened after the?
No, they weren't. Well, they weren't forced to.
3 days war.
6-day war.
6-day war. There we go.
Yeah, but no, they weren't forced to. They chose to. Because they didn't do it in 67. They did it in Camp David, which was I can't remember when Camp David was.
Impressive.
They thought they were being fair, but all they did was just give the enemy
When was Carter elected? Carter was elected in...
I'm gonna be so for real.
1976. No, just let me get through a couple of points, please, so that we can at least like frame my point, so that you at least get the gist of where I'm coming from.
Okay, just say you're finished when you are finished, and I'll just listen.
Okay, I appreciate it, and then you can do the same. So the thing I wanted to really hit on was this idea of refuge and where people were before the Balfour Declaration, after, and then during 67 and that sort of a thing. So you get the idea of where the land was and who was taking what. So the entire basis of Zionism as a project was specifically to create a state that was not controversial. That was actually the origin of it, was to create a refuge that would not lead to the Jews illegitimizing the state on the world stage, which makes sense. You have to think about this from the concept of this is a people that's been chased out of the Levant, they've been chased out of, Muslim-dominated countries, Christian-dominated countries, wherever, and they don't have a place to go, which is why they can be treated like shit. So that was the basis of Zionism, was this idea, well, they need to have a state that they can go to specifically for that purpose. So that's why Zionism was created. Yes, there are sects of Zionism, and you can go back far enough that say, well, it needs to be radical, it needs to be Jews only, by the Jews, for the Jews, and then you can find other sects that advocate for a more liberal state where people can coexist. Herzl and others specifically thought that if they went to Palestine, the Arabs in the region would be fundamentally predisposed towards them because they would bring labor productivity, they would bring trade, they would bring all these different innovations that would let them be cooperative. What they underestimated and what they didn't understand when they did that is that the pan-Arab push, which started not in Nasser, because Nasser, I think, is like the 1960s or the 1950s. That's not when
1950s. He went out of power after the early 50s. Sorry.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify that.
No, totally fair. Thank you for clarifying. That's not when Pan-Arabism started. Pan-Arabism started originally as an anti-Ottoman movement of Muslims who did not believe that they could practice fairly under the Ottoman Empire, and so they thought, well, we need to have a Pan-Arab state. And so, yes,
can I say one thing?
Of course.
Sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I think there's a important difference between Arab nationalism and Pan-Arabism. That's all.
Well, define what you think the difference is.
So, like, Arab nationalism is like a state in an area wants to create a state. Also, I disagree with like pretty much nationalism in all forms. I just don't like nationalism.
Sure.
And so that may be like an axiomatic difference that we have. Well, not axiomatic, but you know what I mean.
I don't like nationalism when it's used for certain purposes, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, like there's a difference between an Arab state being made for Arabs by Arabs in Iraq, rather than like Pan-Arabism, which is you want to make these states and then you want to unify all Arab states together into some sort of massive super state. Like I think there is like an important difference there.
Well, the thing is, though, is that the movement we're talking about is both. It is a Arab nationalist and Arab movement. That was the whole point of it. It was this idea that you have... Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, like Gamal Abdel Nasser at least was like a pan-Arab... Like all pan-Arab movements are Arab nationalists, but not all Arab nationalist movements are pan-Arab, is basically what I'm saying.
I agree with that. And also it should be important to differentiate too. There are Muslim nationalist movements or Muslim,
yeah, like what the Ottomans tried to do when they were collapsing.
Yes, exactly, correct. Good.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyways, so you have this conflict. So at the time, so a couple things were happening. This is going like late 1800s into, before World War I, right? So the Arabs in the region were not happy with not being able to practice generally in some, they were not able to practice their mostly Muslim beliefs under the Ottoman Empire in the way that they wanted to. That was a large part of the discontent. Basically the Ottoman Empire was...
I'm just asking what you mean by that, yeah.
I'd have to look more into it at the time, but but the discontent started with that, where that's why they wanted to have a pan-Arab state, right? That's kind of where it started from, is they didn't want the European influence that was in the Levant at the time, that was in the Middle East.
Oh, you mean like in the modernism, like the modernist movement in the Ottomans? Sorry, I know a bit about the Ottomans.
Yes.
But I'm not actually sure like what you're referencing when it comes to like Arab Muslim views. But if you mean stuff like the fez, the like the clothing changes, stuff like that.
Well, it was just more that they just wanted to have something that wasn't as... Yeah, exactly. They didn't want the westernized version of their beliefs, essentially, is what it was.
Yeah, but like that's... I'm sorry, if I'm like totally interrupting you, just like tell me.
Well, yeah, I'll just try and keep going, and you can go ahead and like rebut afterwards if you want. But
yeah, just keep going.
But to be clear, when we're talking about the late 1800s, early 1900s, most Palestinians were not pan-Arab. They were not fundamentalists. They were not nationalists. That sort of a thing. Most of them were just living there under Ottoman rule. They weren't necessarily thinking about it. You had a lot more of that happening outside of Palestine, which is where...
They didn't really have their own power. They just existed.
Right, exactly. They were just kind of there, right? They were mostly serfs kind of a thing, living under Ottoman rule. Most of the land that was bought was Ottoman-held land that the Jews bought, that, the Palestinians living there were, indentured servants, essentially, or serfs, right?
Oh yeah, the British treated them like shit, and the Ottomans did as well.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, this is during the Ottoman period.
Everyone's treated all of the Middle East as shit, like, for ages.
Well, it's a little more complicated though. So this happens. At the time, you had Palestinians. Like once this process was underway, you had Palestinians and Jews. Yeah, I gotta be careful here again. Arabs and Zionists living in basically the same areas. They were living in the same towns, living in, trading, all this sort of a thing in the same areas because that's where settlements are. So when you usually see that first map that shows, well, here's the Palestinian land or presence, here's the Israeli land or presence, what they're actually showing is Zionist settlements, and in those Zionist settlements you had Arabs. You had what would later be called, a lot of them would be later called Palestinians. Not all of them. Some of the Arabs would eventually become part of Israel as well.
I think I've, sorry if I'm interrupting you, but I think I've, identified our fundamental disagreement here.
Okay, sure.
So, to me, Zionism is essentially like the ethno-religious group of Jewish people. It's the nationalism for Jews, ethnic, religious, whatever, right?
It's the belief that Jews should have a state of refuge, yes. We'll go with that.
Yeah, it's a sort of a nationalist movement with Jews as the focus. I just disagree with nationalism generally, and I think that's the difference. I don't think there should be a white person in Australia, a British Australian state. I don't think there should be,
Sure, and I understand that you're
based around any sort of ethnicity or religion.
Sure, and I understand that you're ideal here. Yeah, go ahead.
That's your personal opinion, dude. You can't just say that that's how.
Well, no, I mean it's
how anybody in general thinks.
By my personal opinion, yeah, that's disagreement. That's
sure, which is fine.
But I want because of that, you don't respect the boundaries of what really is what is.
Well, what I want to say to that.
Fair assessment of what they are.
I don't think it's unfair opinion. What I want to say to that is that the alternative, I understand what your goal is. You think that the ideal would be something like, well, here's a liberal single state where Jews and Palestinians live together and it's equal rights and blah blah blah, right? That's what you want. That's the ideal.
Not necessarily. I think that would be ideal, but I don't think that's necessarily attainable.
Okay, well, so the reason that's not attainable is because of Pan-Arabism. That's what I'm trying to argue. Because that's what happens when we lead up into the Balfour Declaration. Part of the conflict, and you can say it's Britain's fault, you can say all these different things, but Britain and France still gave a lot of that land to the people that would be part of that Pan-Arab movement. You had King Faisal, who, oh gosh, I can't remember. I think he took Iraq or Lebanon. I can't remember which. But one of the two.
I don't want to interrupt you again.
Sure.
Sorry. You can always shut me down, don't worry. Just tell me to shut the fuck up.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
But there wasn't an imam in the Ottoman Empire before, like, we took all that shit from them. Specifically in the Mandate of Palestine, where that would be eventually, who said that like Jews could come live there, like himself. Like it's not like Muslims and like Arabs particularly. It's like this political movement. Can you at least agree on that?
I'm not sure what you're saying. Say it one more time.
Sorry. There was an imam. Do you know what an imam is?
I don't. Please explain.
So an imam is like a priest slash religious leader, but for Muslims, right?
Sure.
But they have a lot more power than the average priest does in Christianity. Because they have the ability to make binding resolutions about like their own essentially diocese, right?
Sure, I gotcha.
And so because they can do that, there was this guy who was under the Ottomans, and the Ottoman Caliphate was they had a caliph basically, and he did this with the permission of the caliph of the Ottoman Empire. Sorry. And so he said that like Jewish people could come live in Palestine, etc., etc. Like he was extremely like peaceful towards them. So like how do you think the relations between the Arabs and Muslims in Palestine and the Jews like broke down? Like why do you think that happened, I guess?
Well, part of it is the fundamental cultural difference between some of the Judaism and Muslim practices that happen there. That's part of the reason, for sure. Like it is a holy land. That's part of where that came from. That is part of it.
Yeah, no, you're true. You're right about the Holy Land thing. I just as a very educated Catholic Christian, and I used to date a Jewish guy, right?
Sure.
Who's like disgustingly educated on Judaism, and he was also disgustingly educated on Islam as well. As someone who's like been around that and like dated that person for 2 years, so I've gotten quite a bit of knowledge from that guy.
Very good.
It just seems like there's not necessarily like much of a difference between like Islam and Judaism, at least from like an external perspective, except for grooming laws from the Hadiths.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like part of the thing that happens is like. It's
like culturally,
complicated.
Yes, but like it doesn't seem very different.
No, it's true. It's one of those things where there's the difference isn't so much that it's just these religions generally when they're practiced maybe in say a more westernized fashion versus when you have more fundamentalist factions, which to be fair included the Jews in that too. There were definitely fundamentalist Jews, that kind of thing that happened as well, where you did have those strifes. Like there were absolutely cases where, there were shootings, there was land that was stolen and things like that. That did happen. But for a long time, the majority of the correspondence between the two people was fairly peaceful. And of course, you also had to acknowledge the fact that the Arabs outnumbered the Jews pretty heavily in that time, outnumbered the Zionists pretty heavily during those early times. Late 1800s, early 1900s, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Right, but then the Pan-Arab movement comes around as a way of acknowledging, like, this is Arab land, this is our land, this is, the Holy Land, all that stuff that comes together that says that this is an identity that we need. Oh no, you're right. It is. It's part of where. So okay. So let me try and frame it one more time. So yes, first you start having this, like, the original rebellion was to the Ottomans, right? Like, that's where Pan-Arabism started, was a rebellion to the Ottoman Caliphate. That's where that started.
Yeah.
And then it transformed. When we get to the 30s and the 40s, we start talking about the Holocaust. We get European Jews coming to the region in droves, which, by the way, during this time, it's actually really interesting if you read about what Britain did during this time. Because yes, you read the Balfour Declaration, you go, oh, well, they backstabbed the Arabs and they gave this state to the Jews. And they immediately realized that that was part of where the strife kind of started too. It's like, well, they see this, they see that they have all this land, but they don't get the land that they really want, right? And so what ends up happening is that the Palestinians living there, the Arabs that are living there at the time, see this, and it leads to this kind of strife. And then it's also combined with this European immigration, which is like, well, now they're transforming our land even more and more into this Jewish land. And so you get the historical pretext and the modern pretext and all this together. And the way that Britain handles the situation is so interesting, because you get kind of a sort of a walk back of Balfour, because what Balfour says is there is a co-equal state for Jews and non-Jews in the region, but it is a state administered by Jews and a refuge for Jews. That's essentially what the Balfour Declaration says.
Yeah, but like I just don't think like we should be judging like who gets to administer a place based on religiosity or ethnicity.
Okay, but
like
let me get to the,
my disagreement with Zionism comes from
Sure.
like a broader disagreement with nationalism generally.
Sure, but let me get to my point here. So sorry, I don't mean to be mean. I just want to get to what I was trying to say.
Yeah, continue. I'm just like saying it like it's more of a general disagreement.
I understand. So during this time, Britain walks back the Balfour Declaration. We have what's called like the white papers, right? Where they decide, well, actually what we're going to do is we're going to cap, during the Holocaust, we're going to cap Jewish immigration to Israel because we don't want to foment too much Muslim backlash. That was the reason. Because this is when we start getting into the 30s and 40s, we get into the Arab revolts, where you had, these are settlements at the time that were they were Zionist and they were Muslim. They were still majority Arab at the time, right? They were majority Muslim and Arab at the time. But they were these settlements, and as these tensions grew, Britain didn't really want to handle Palestine anymore. That's why they were walking it back. They were saying, well, if we walk this back, we can appease the Arabs in this conflict, so that they're not likely to revolt against us, because they don't want to be the ones administering that. They don't want to be the ones that have to police that, because then they get in harm's way. It's their mess. And so by the time we get to 1947, right, we get to the UN resolution. Before that, Britain had already tried to turn over the state to the people living there. And they were like, all right, well, you guys can't get along, so here we go. We're going to designate this land as Israeli and this land as Palestinian. The Israelis said yes, the Zionists said yes, the Palestinians said no. And then we get to the UN resolution, and the same thing happens. It's like, well, actually what happens is they both agree to it, and then the Arabs, not just the ones living in Palestine, but the ones around Israel, attack all at once. Now, there's an argument to be made that the land that was given to the Palestinians at the time wasn't very good, but you have to counter that. You have to couch that with the fact that the infrastructure and the military might and all that stuff that was in there was predominantly already Zionist. That's where a lot of that had come from. And the reason for that is because Britain was not defending the Zionists really at all during the later part of the Troubles, but not during the early part. And so that's where
Did
things
you
like
call that the Troubles?
Yeah, the Troubles.
Don't call it Troubles.
Okay, because you're thinking of the Irish Troubles, but it was called the Troubles. That's
because
what they were
I'm
called.
Irish, yeah.
I apologize, but that's what they were called. They were called the Zionist Troubles or the Arab Troubles or something like that. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, like be more specific.
That's fair, but you know what I mean. I'm talking about the Arab Revolt, essentially.
I do now, but like I was just very confused.
No, I apologize, but you get the point. So you get to that. It was a European project. They were not neutral observers since inception. I'm literally talking about the literal opposite of that, Blicky. I'm giving examples of how Britain was actually not defending the European. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. But But yeah, essentially that's where the IDF and where all these paramilitary aspects of the Zionist movement come from, is because Britain wasn't defending them against these attacks from the Arab settlers. That's the whole point. Which, by the way, weren't all native to the region either. A lot of them had moved around from other parts of the Ottoman Empire, etc.
Arabs aren't native to that area anyway. Arabs are native to the Arabian Peninsula, not the Levant. The Levant is native to the Phoenician people.
Yeah, sure.
But like, people move around and shit.
Right, exactly. So when we're talking about rights to the land, I don't really care too much about, well, the Jews were here 3,000 years before the Palestinians settled there 100 years ago and blah, blah, blah. I don't really care too much about that. But a lot of people put stock into that, and it's important to realize that that whole thing is conflated. What matters to me is who is there now and who is affected, right? The reason I say this, though, is to understand that the complication about who owns the land based on historic right, who is native and who is not, is complicated based on what time frame you choose to set. Because at the end of the day, even if you want to say that, let's say, Ashkenazi Jews are not native to the region, well, those Ashkenazi Jews have been there for over half a century now anyway. So who's to say that they're not native, right? Like, it depends on what you mean by that.
We're all... Like, I'm Australian, and there's lots of people here, since this is a US server, who are American, right? We're all, pretty much everyone here, I think, is like part of a colonialist, like, project of some sort. But neither is, like, none of them are very moral. Like, we got rid of the Aboriginals, pretty much. Like, there's only, like, the numbers still have not recovered. But that's a bad thing.
But the point I'm making here is they didn't get rid of the Palestinians, right? So you go to 1947.
Yeah, because they're getting rid of them now.
They're not, though.
In the modern day.
But they're not, actually. So in 1947, right? In 1947, they get attacked by all of their neighbors. You have the Palestinians there as well, what are going to be called the Palestinians, right? Because the land gets segregated into Israel and Palestine. And, the Arabs say no, they revolt, they attack alongside all the surrounding states and invade Israel. They lose the war. And then their borders end up being worse than what the UN resolution would have been, because the UN resolution was basically drawn on, okay, you guys don't want to coexist, here's the right to the land that you guys can have. And it wasn't the... Right, and it wasn't the Zionists that wanted to have two states. The Zionists did that as like, well, if this is what we have to do, this is what we have to do. They didn't want to put the Palestinians there. But the Palestinians did that because they didn't really want to have that either, obviously. They wanted the whole thing for themselves, right? That's why they attacked. They didn't want the two-state solution either.
But that's not exactly selfish when you've lived in this, like, same region for, like, however long, and, like, now some new people are coming in.
Happy. It might sound rude that some people might want to live there.
Might want to what? Sorry?
You don't have the power to keep it, at least, like the Israelites managed to. Okay.
Well, I mean, what we're
talking about like morality rather than like what is exactly happening.
Okay,
like
so
Israel owns it now, frankly, which is just like bad though.
Well, the point is that they owned it then. The point is that in 1947 they had already owned it then. They were the ones who had worked the land. They were the ones that had developed it to where it was better for the Arabs to live there. Like, this is, like, during this time period, you have to understand.
Like, that's the thing, there's just a historical disagreement with should they have ever been in there in the first place.
Well, but hold on, because what we're talking about, you're talking about it in terms of being a native land, but that's not entirely true. Because we're talking about the fact that the Arabs moved there too during the same period. Like I said, during the time of the white papers.
If you go back far enough, the English are not native to England.
Exactly, but like, here's the point. But I'm talking about,
we're just people.
Sure, but what I'm talking about in terms, well, yes, that's exactly the point. So like during the white paper era, they let more Arabs in than they did Jews, and they did Zionists. During the Holocaust, they capped Jewish immigration on purpose.
And that was, like, honestly, at that time, during the Holocaust, that was a bad thing, because they should not have been, like, stopping Jewish people from escaping Germany.
But but what's the alternative? You say that they shouldn't have a refuge state.
No, I don't say they shouldn't have a refuge state. I'm just saying I don't think it should be in a place with, like, people already, and, like, you can just chuck it in the Sahara Desert if you want. right next to Manchuria or whatever.
There's nowhere they can't
I don't
work
think
the
it should be
land
a
in the
major population center, and I don't think the state there should be built around Jewish people. It should.
It wasn't a major population center. It didn't become a major population center until after they worked the land, after the Jews had worked the land. That's why Arabs started moving there in droves. That was part of the reason.
Like here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I think like the major disagreement here is just like there were people there, lots of people, still.
There were, but not nearly as many as that were there that claimed to be native. Is what I'm trying to say.
Like there were still a bunch of people there, but like Australia had.
There's people in the Sahara Desert too.
But Australia has had given a proposition where they could take, I think it was a northern part of Northern Territory, and like we're totally chill with doing genocide over here, like for real.
No.
And so you wouldn't be like continuing on with the genocide by now.
Okay, but this is the point that I was trying to get to, which is that if you trace the history continuously, that's not what they were trying to do by any stretch of the imagination. So in 1948...
Why did they go to Palestine specifically then?
Why did they what?
Is your argument that like it's because the British promised it to them?
They were there before the British promised it to them. It was Ottoman land first.
Yeah, it was Ottoman land, and then the British took ownership. But like the Jewish people who make the majority of the ruling class of Israel are Ashkenazi, which are German Jews.
Doesn't really matter if they're Ashkenazi or not.
It does, because they're coming from Europe rather than from Palestine.
They didn't come from Europe in the last 10 years. They came from Europe in the 1940s for the most part. They're as Israeli as the Arab Jews are.
Yeah, not in the last 10 years.
Also Jews during World War I that were fighting for Germany and all those things as well.
It has to do with the fact that it was a pan-Arab fundamentalist philosophy that motivated them to attack. A philosophy that was informed by, well, these are all these Jews that are coming in, and Jewish people in our doctrine are lesser. That was the reason. That
Dude,
was
you're
the
just
fundamental
talking to
drive.
yourself right now. He cannot hear a word you're saying.
Any guys from America?
I was wondering. I didn't see it in the chat. I wasn't even looking at chat because I was just trying to talk. No, it's okay. It's okay. But that's the whole point.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, Happy, did you catch it? Did you catch any of what I said?
I only caught some of it, but like, yeah, my ping's fucked.
So I'll just
Did you
try and
see
quickly.
like my text messages I sent in chat?
I did. I apologize. I was talking and I didn't notice until someone pointed it out. But so give me just like five seconds here to just kind of try and like retrace what I said. So yeah, 6-day war. They return the land afterwards during Camp David back to Egypt. They withdraw from Gaza. They do this later on during the First Intifada, Second Intifada. They withdraw from Gaza over and over again because they want them to have an independent state. The only reason that Palestine exists as an independent state from Israel, or, as a separate state from Israel, instead of a co-equal state, liberalized state, is because the Palestinians don't want to coexist. And the reason they don't want to coexist is because of the pan-Arab nationalist identity that says, hey, Jews are not supposed to be here, they are lesser than us, they are evil, they are all of these different things, and they should not be here. That is the fundamental reason why they didn't want to live with them co-equally. Whereas the Zionists the whole time wanted to. Not all Zionists, you can always look through different traces.
Sure if that's true.
Well, you can look through different traces of history and you can find different sects of Zionism that say, no, we should ethnically cleanse them, no, we should kick them out. You have other sides that say, no, we should be as conciliatory as possible. But the mainstream Zionist acts, what was actually done over and over again, is that the land that Israel occupied, whether that was Gaza, whether that was the Golan Heights, and later on the areas around Syria, was often returned. Or at the very least, the administration of it was returned, even if the area remained Israeli land. And eventually Sinai was returned. Parts of Jordan were returned as well after 6-day war. All these different things. And so you have...
I don't think that... Oh, shit.
Yeah, go ahead.
My
Go ahead.
thing's fucked again.
I can still hear you.
Mind if I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so...
I think he left, unfortunately.
If the whole idea about Palestine being... Are you trying to say Palestine contains pan-Arab nationalism?
What's the right... I'm trying to think of the most careful way to phrase this. I don't necessarily believe that the average Palestinian believes themselves to be a pan-Arab nationalist, if that's what you're asking. I think the average
at least like the leadership of Palestine.
Yes, the leadership is absolutely pan-Arabist. They are absolutely anti-Semitic. It's in their charter. That is not a contest. Hamas absolutely just wants to kill Jews. That is true. It's important to remember that. It's important to remember that the Palestinians elected Hamas. It's also important to remember that Hamas uses tactics in order to enable the Palestinians to fight for them, which includes everything from, hey, we're going to hold back water and food from these people unless they fight for us. We're going to recruit child soldiers. We're going to indoctrinate kids in the schools, all these different things.
So the leadership is indoctrinating the populace, which is obviously not a good thing.
Well, they're indoctrinating the populace partially because indoctrination's a weird thing because it does come from actual historical atrocities that were done to the Palestinians, right? Like, we talk about the 47 War of Independence. There were a lot of war crimes. There were a lot of bad things that happened to the Palestinians during that war. It wasn't, oh, well, we're attacked, therefore we're allowed to do whatever we want. No, there were still absolutely inhumane things that happened. So what they do is they mobilize that history of conflict to motivate, hey, this is why you should fight for this land and it should be yours. Right? Yeah. So it's like, it's propaganda, but like most propaganda, it's based in part in truth.
Yeah, well, part truth and not the whole truth either, so careful.
Exactly. It's based in part in truth, but definitely not the whole truth. They're not going to talk about the Arab atrocities. They're not going to talk about, hey, the reason that all of these things happen is because we chose not to live in a co-equal state. That, all these different states at the same time attack the Jews at the exact same time.
Why do you keep roasting me?
I don't know, I'm sorry. I don't even know what I'm doing, I'm just talking at this point.
So, Would you say,
Sure.
don't mean to jump the question, but would you
Go for
say
it.
that there is an active genocide happening in Gaza?
I think there can be. I wouldn't call it a genocide based on, how do I want to put this? The goal isn't to ethnically cleanse Palestinians. That's not consistent with what the IDF is doing. That's how I would define it. Because if the goal were to ethnically cleanse Palestinians, Israel could do that tomorrow and it wouldn't be hard. You can make the argument, well, they're trying to do it in a softer way, maybe, because, well, they know that the international stage wouldn't find it conducive, so they're trying to make an excuse for it, that kind of a thing. But then you would have to also make the argument of, well, but, you know, we had Netanyahu and the Likud in power before, so they could have done it then. They could have done it after the second Intifada.
I wish the people in Gaza had courage to actually.
Well, it's not even that it's not even necessarily that they don't have the courage. Part of it is that they want this, and then another part of it is that, you know, they don't have any ability to when all the arms are in the hand of Hamas, right? Like,
That's the issue.
Right?
That,
Yeah.
If part of it is that they are. Yeah, that's true. But if there is a part that is also where they should fight back against this.
Yeah, but I mean, again, imagine you're growing up in Gaza and you see all this happen, and like, well, from our perspective, like, this is the land that, you know, that you've been told, like, well, this is what belongs to us. Like, most of them agree with the actions, even if they don't necessarily agree with the outcome, right?
Yeah. So what's the important is that the women and children, not just calling women children.
Yeah. Yeah, the unfortunate, well, not even just that, like, everybody in Gaza who gets used as in the line of fire as fodder, because Hamas's goal is to maximize civilian casualties, right? They want to make Israel look as bad as possible.
The optics to make Israel
Right.
look bad.
Yeah, that's the goal. And so when they do that, it's like, well, they're just going to put all these people in the line of fire, and the Palestinians are like, well, this is a just cause. I'm dying for a state that I know one day we will have, which is an empty promise. They're never going to have that state. There's no way. But, you know. But that's not what Hamas cares about. What Hamas cares about isn't actually taking the land. What they care about is undermining Israel in the world stage. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
Alright. So, would you say there are at least aspects of a genocide happening?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, aspects of a genocide meaning that there are sometimes war crimes, sometimes disregard for people because of a certain ethnicity or a certain identity group. Absolutely, 100%. The IDF is by no means a perfect moral entity. In fact, quite the opposite. I think the IDF does adopt practices that are needlessly careless of Palestinians in many cases. And part of that, I would argue, is motivated by October 7th, is motivated by security and all these different things. But also it's motivated by decades of conflict, and, you know, it's like, well, let's just, you know, cut out the problem, that sort of thing. It's motivated by Likud propaganda, it's motivated by Likud practices that get normalized, all these different things. That's why you have sex crimes in Israeli prisons against Palestinians. All these things are bad, all these things are a problem. They can be considered aspects of a genocide, but the actual fundamental thing you need for a genocide to happen is the desire to cleanse a land specifically because of a certain identity group, and that's not the goal. Israel has no desire to remove Palestinians from Gaza because they're Palestinian. Their goal is to root out Hamas, and for the most part, Palestinians are in the way of Hamas, is the best way I can kind of describe it. West Bank, you can make a better argument for ethnic cleansing and displacement, and there's multiple reasons for that. One of them is security, because they actually care more about security in the West Bank, because West Bank is closer to Jerusalem, it's closer to the population centers of Israel. So they care more about that, so that's why you have the forward settling that happens in the West Bank as well. This is a need for security. You know, we have the Oslo Accords, but Oslo Accords weren't really well enforced, Area A, B, and C, but really, like, all this eventually can kind of be under Israeli control anyway, so it doesn't really matter. That's part of it. And there is security threats that come out of the West Bank. There is Islamic Jihad in the West Bank. But the other part of it is that it's also just desirable land, and it's just, hey, you know, if settlers are there, it's hard to take settlers out. Once the settlers are there, they're there. They're not leaving, because they built, this isn't just like shacks in the middle of nowhere. This is major suburbs with schools and stores and all that sort of a thing. You know, actual, like, major development. So, you know, you can make an argument. I think I would argue that there is an active ethnic cleansing in the West Bank. I would not argue that the same is true of Gaza.
Honestly, never really been mature enough in an argument to concede it, but you've made a lot of good points.
Listen.
And guess I never really looked at it from that perspective. Thank you for opening my eyes.
That's all I want to do. I mean, again, you're free to disagree. I mean, I think there is a fundamentally good argument to make, I think, about whether or not a state has the right to exist. But we can go further and say, like, well, if a state is genocidal, does that mean that a state shouldn't exist? And it depends on the scale of the genocide, I think, right? If we're talking about something like, well, here's an entirely imperialist genocidal government that has no disregard, whatever, that could be one aspect. There could also be the argument of, well, China serves people mostly pretty well who live there, you can make arguments, but for the most part, I think most people would agree that it would be worse if China was just completely dismantled overnight as a state, even though the Uyghur genocide is real and bad and affects 1 million Uyghur Muslims.
Yeah, I don't look at it. But
right?
Yeah, that's completely fair. That's a completely fair thing to say.
So when we're talking about, genocide, therefore Israel doesn't exist, I think this is my argument for why I think the anti-Zionism movement is anti-Semitic, is because they don't make that leap for anything else. They only make it for Israel. And it's because the arguments that come from it are fundamentally about how Israel controls American policy, which is semi-true in the Trump administration because Trump's a moron and will listen to what Bibi tells him, in the same way that Russia also kind of controls American policy. But in terms of like Israel being deep-rooted in American government interests, that's not really true. It's just that Israel is a Middle East ally that for the most part, as they've gone through during the Cold War, have actually made the Middle East a safer place. You look at 47, what happens in 47? You have all these Soviet-aligned Arab states that are attacking, and sometimes each other. They were all attacking Israel, but they were not particularly liberal states. They were very bad towards their people. Even if you go towards the 2000s, you have Iraq under Saddam Hussein that was completely suppressing civilian liberal rebellions, and then you have now with Iran with the first 2 months even of this year where they were suppressing 40,000 people and killing them, right? Yeah, go ahead, Nodig.
Yeah, I could argue that obviously I think wasn't really the right way to handle these events. We were just sending in soldiers and we were hoping that the insurgents would actually be helping everybody. But
correct. The same thing with Iran in a way. Yeah.
But that's the issue that
I agree.
That we can actually see that this was the problem, and many people who are conservative actually acknowledge that and actually agree that this was not the right way to fight a war.
Yeah,
so
I think
how this war is being fought at the moment.
The Iran war, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anybody who's arguing that this is just out of nowhere and this is just no, it's not.
No, it's not. It's a lot of people like to say, well, the only reason that we're even going to war with Iran is because of Israel. It's like, no, it's really not. Again, you go back through the history, like, this is what I was trying to say. In 1947, all of these states were anti-West. They were anti-Western values. They were suppressing their people. They were killing they were terrible places. The Middle East was a terribly unsafe place in 1947. Even in Israel for the most part, because Israel was having all this infighting between Arabs and Zionists. But you go forward, Israel is the first liberal state really in the region, and then the dominoes fell. You had, you had Egypt under.
Carter handled this as president as well, which was not appropriate.
Med, for fuck's sake, go stock, please.
Go fuck around with
Thank you.
Going on in Iran or something.
Yeah.
Fucking backfight.
Yeah, I mean, back then, Iran was, in the 1950s, Iran actually was a much more liberal state than it is today, right? And then they had their Islamic Revolution there, too. But for the most...
Meanwhile, the zealots just overtook that whole place and it became a whole Islamic state.
Yeah, exactly. But for the most part, all these people that were Israel's enemies eventually became its friends. Egypt started changing after Camp David, during Sadat, right? When he expelled the Soviets from the region. The same thing happens. I mean, the same thing is happening now with Syria. It kind of had already started to happen with Lebanon. It happened in Jordan later. So all these different states, just one by one, fell. Obviously, Saudi Arabia became a crucial. In particular, you go into the 1980s, you have the Iran-Iraq war, actually was kind of the Western ally at that point, but that was under Hussein, and it was kind of like a crisis of need kind of a thing. But then you have the Iraq insurgency. Iraq is still a lot better now than it was in the 2000s. So one by one, like all the different dominoes fell. Syria now is the latest one, right? Like Syria was very, I mean, it's still not perfect, obviously, and you can talk about Kurdish rights and all these different things. There's a whole strife between, what is a decreasingly liberal Turkey against an increasingly liberal Middle East, and how that conflicts with Syria and Kurdish rights. But nonetheless, it's a lot better now than it was under Bashar al-Assad, right? So, yeah, go ahead.
Like, just interested why you're coming up with the concept of the liberal here. Isn't it rather more about like how much about the nation is rather just generally treating the city fairly?
Yeah, I'll be clear when I say liberal. I mean liberal in the sense of rights, in terms of human rights, of treating people humanely with some level of like, well, you're an individual, you have some inalienable rights, freedom, or speech, or all these different things. And these states administer that to different levels. Obviously, Saudi Arabia is not the same as Israel. Yeah, I want to be clear about that. But the point is that these states are still... Yeah. But nonetheless, these states are still in a lot closer state towards that kind of ideal than they were in the 1940s, and all of them, for the most part, align with Israel. And it's not a coincidence. It's because Israel was the first domino. It was what led to all this coming together. It's what led to that sphere of influence. So in the long-term project of what Zionism is, it reflects an increasing democratization and securitization, or I shouldn't say securitization, but an increased security presence and Western influence in the Middle East that has led to better outcomes. That is fundamentally why I am a Zionist, because it has actually been a utilitarian positive project in the context of history.
No. What the fuck? Are you serious right now?
That's what the entire impetus of this conversation was. Yes.
You just weren't here a while ago. Don't.
Saul, you can say that's complete bullshit, but you can look at the history. You can just look at the history.
History of Israel bombing kids.
Don't worry about it.
Hold on, so Hoyo said even 9/11. What do you mean by 9/11? Saudi Arabia didn't cause 9/11. Let's be clear. There were fundamentalists living in Saudi Arabia that did.
That caused 9/11. It was a bunch of rich terrorists that caused 9/11.
I just want to know what you mean by that, Sohoyo. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just curious. Most Arabs do not align with Zionism Israeli interests. Most Arab states align with Israel. That's what I was trying to say. Most Arab states in the Levantine region align with Israel politically.
Except for like Iran or Lebanon, except for Iran and Lebanon.
Pretty much, yeah. That's about right. Just except for Iran and Lebanon, yeah. And even Lebanon, actually Lebanon does. It's Hezbollah that doesn't. Let's be clear. Not because of Zionism specifically. I never said it was because of Zionism that they align with them. I said Zionism is the reason that Israel... Yeah, it's because of Israel, but Israel wouldn't exist without Zionism. That's why I'm a Zionist. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you are you actually from Israel?
No, I'm an American and I'm not a Jew. I'm an atheist.
All over again for Red X.
I'm not gonna do it all over again for Red X. All I'm gonna say is no. Yeah, I'm not gonna go through it again. All I'm gonna say is that people define Zionism differently based on what their political ideological movement thinks it should be called versus what it actually is. What Zionism actually is a refuge geopolitical movement for Jews. That's it. That's what it means. What the Likud government is doing in Israel is not the same thing as what Zionism is. I disagree with what the Likud government is doing, especially in West Bank. And Golan, for that matter. I can kind of make an excuse for the southern invasion of Syria for the Druze, and I can make an excuse for firing back against Hezbollah, but not necessarily invading Lebanon. But I think there's good arguments to be made on both sides of that. I don't agree with occupation of Lebanon. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, true. Because like honestly, Israel should have just funded Lebanon just to get rid of Hezbollah.
Instead of Israel just outright invading it, you know, like.
Well, the problem is you can't do that because you can't finance a government that's kind of not really. It doesn't really have any power in Lebanon.
Like way too early.
Like if you try, like explain to me like how you finance Lebanon without accidentally financing Hezbollah. That's the problem.
True.
All right, Barbarossa, I need you to Uber. Or what's her name? Barbacoa, whatever. I need you to Uber not at the back because we will be doing nothing.
I mean, you can say it's for reasons other than like agreeing with Zionism or agreeing with that or that sort of a thing, but like the reality is that those states are not as fundamentalist and as aligned against Jewish presence as they used to be. They probably wouldn't tolerate Jews very much in their own country still, to be sure, in a lot of them. Certainly not in Saudi Arabia. But the reality is that those governments do align with Israel, and because they align with Israel, they have more of an incentive to align with Western interests. And that incentive means that they treat their people better than they did in the 40s. Some of them are actually a lot more westernized. You look at the UAE, you look at Qatar, technically in a lot of ways. Although, you know, slavery. Yeah, but you know.
It's all optics with them right now.
Yeah, that's true, but still.
All they got for them is the war. But their people are just looking, but not actually.
Yeah, I mean it's complicated. Sometimes like what a government does and what the people are allowed to do can be very separate things. It depends on like how Leviathan or how, you know, what's the word for it? Potemkin the government actually is. Like Lebanon is a Potemkin government. It's not really a government. Hezbollah runs a lot of that shit at the end of the day. That's the problem. Like the Lebanese government is not Hezbollah. They're separate entities, but you know. But also the Lebanese government meets like once every 2 years or something like that, so they don't really do anything. Anyway, I hope that makes sense.
Yep. I've just been trying to chill in blue until this whole.
I know. I've been like. I know. I just keep letting it. Well, it's just my instinct. I'm a pyro. I just light shit on fire. I don't even think.
Not you. Not just you.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
It's everything.
Yeah.
An AFK bot, whatever.
Oh yeah, those are so annoying.
I don't care. I'm just saying it.
Don't get headshot.
Dang, they missed.
Let's go.
I can't believe I just sat here and like talked about Israel for like 4 hours. Jesus Christ. My voice is so hoarse.
What are...
Alright, they're out of our sewers. Get it back.
There's a time for the funnies. Help me, demo man. You're my only hope.
I'm dying. Medic, help me. Medic. Medic. Medic.
I'm medic.
Any more Israel-related questions before I sign off?
No.
Okay. Please, no more. I'm stuck in debate mode. I want more. I'm sorry. I'm fucking addicted.
Democrats and Republicans.
I mean, look, listen, if Cuba gains independence from its stupid ass fucking government, I'll give Trump a W, but other than that, I think Trump has been absolutely terrible.
How come?
NG, build a sentry for God's sakes.
Very concerned about the results of what he wants to do.
Concerned about. Sorry, what was it?
I'm more concerned about the results that he wants to do, or rather, what he wants.
Oh, you mean like, is he like? Sorry, problems with what? Say one more time. I apologize.
Like, yeah, for example, Soho, you're saying the save act is dumb. Why is it dumb?
Are we talking about Cuba or what specific thing?
Let's go back to Crit's Creek. It'd be a good time to.
Not Cuba, like the save act. What it is. Soho,
Oh, the save act. The save act. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Barb, would you like to use Crits?
I'm trying to remember what the save is. Save act the one where they're trying to require voter ID? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay, so the problem there's a lot of problems that I have with it. Number one is that we have implemented voter ID laws in different states. They have not been shown to reduce fraud, so it's not actually something that necessarily helps. For the record, I don't disagree with the notion that people who are citizens should be allowed to vote and people who aren't citizens should not be allowed to vote. That's an uncontroversial statement. The question we have about voter ID laws is A, do they work, and B, is it worth the cost? So the answer is no. Most evidence shows that they don't really work, and the cost is that it's stuff that people don't necessarily think about, which is that a lot of people who are allowed to are not necessarily required to have voter ID, but they are still citizens. So for example, like when I lived in Colorado, I had a registered voter ID. I did not have to bring my photograph ID to vote because I would get a mail-in ballot. That mail-in ballot could only be delivered to me because I'm on the voter registry and I am registered at that address, and then I fill out the ballot, right?
Okay.
So as long as it's one ballot per person that's voting, then it's fine. And then you might say, well, okay, but then you can assign it to an address and then one person could vote for two people. That does happen, but typically because, that person consented to it. If they didn't, then that would be an insane level of fraud, right?
Right.
The reality is that
I've checked recently.
Oh, about the China thing and all that stuff? Yeah, like the China and Venezuela rigging the elections or things like that Trump posted on the site?
But besides them, have you seen the states that have applied this principle?
Applied voter ID laws?
Has been caught.
There hasn't been that much fraud caught at all, though. That's my argument. There's really almost none.
There were several. There was like over 100,000 dead candidates, and several thousand non-citizen candidates that both tried to vote in Texas, which I live in.
Well, tried to live in Texas, but did they successfully live in Texas, or did they successfully vote before the voter ID laws? Is the question.
Before the voter ID law?
Yeah.
Yeah. They tried.
Okay.
And they've been caught.
Tried, right, but then they didn't, right? This is before the voter ID law, and they still didn't get it through.
Sorry, I thought you were saying, no.
No, it's okay.
They tried to implement this system.
Sure.
How much they have cost.
So the number is 50... So Trump is claiming it's 95,000. It's closer to 58,000 may have cast a ballot in one or more elections from 1996 to 2018. So we're not talking about a single election. We're talking about across... Let me count the number of elections here. 1, 2, I'm not going to include midterms, just keep it simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, if I do, it hurts your argument, right? Because then I'm adding in more elections where they could have voted in, right?
Whether it's early voting, midterm voting, or just
sure.
Just
no, I know.
Day of voting.
No, I know, but I'm saying like what I'm saying is take 58,000 and divide it by 6. That's how much voter fraud there was per election. This is like a conservative estimate, right? I could divide it by midterms and things like that, but the reason I don't want to do that mostly is because we don't know how it's distributed. I would assume that all of these people did vote in, or all of these fraudulent actions were in those years.
So does it say specifically that it was like the final life, or like the day of?
Well, I'll check. I'm just reading it here. It says that 58,000 people may have cast a ballot in one or more elections. Let me just double check here. Yeah, so these are people who are these are people who are non-citizens. There's argument that 58,000 people may have cast a ballot in one or more elections from 96 to 18. Let me see.
Teleport him down!
And some of them were.
Which he posted.
Well, I'm not checking the one that he posted. I'm checking it based on ACLU. I mean, I'm sure that the way he phrases it is different, but I'm basing it off of like what the actual evidence is supposedly. I'll try and find another cross match to be sure. Yeah, so the idea is that they're weak matches, and the county still has the opportunity to decide whether or not those people should be purged or not purged from the voter rolls. That doesn't mean that they're that doesn't mean that they're non-citizens necessarily, because some of them naturalize in the same year. But my point is that if you take 58,000, right, that's not a meaningful amount divided across all those elections. So let me double check that it's 58,000 across. Again, I'm going to say 6 presidential elections. So you're saying about 10,000 a year if you're being generous, right? I mean, in Texas, which is the second most populous state and has been for a long time, that's not really a meaningful sway, right?
No, just an example. Yes.
No, I know. I agree.
And it is especially in places where it is prevalently Democrat. That's the weird pattern here.
Well, there's a reason why it's predominantly in places that are predominantly Democratic, though, right? Because what we're not really talking about voter fraud here necessarily. We're talking about places where you have voter ID weak matches. That's what we're talking about. So that means that these are places where people who are either naturalizing into being citizens or might not actually be citizens but got a ballot or things like that, right? Well, where are those places likely to be? They're likely to be where places immigrate to. Where is that most likely to be? It's going to be in urban places which are Democratic.
Cities.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah, the Pennsylvania one was just a glitch. Let's see. Well, I mean, yeah, maybe you could argue, oh, well, who caused the glitch, blah, blah, blah. Sure, fine. But at the end of the day, like, if somebody...
I don't know about that part. I'm just saying that's unfortunate that they had a glitch.
Well, but even then, it's only 8,000, right? Like, that's the issue with trying to find voter fraud. Like, I don't disagree that voter fraud is a problem, and you should quell it where you can. Well, but they mail in their ballots, don't they? That's how they do it.
That doesn't mean that it's legitimate the time. They don't say where these things are. They don't check that these addresses are coming from where they're coming from. They even
sure they do. Why would they not check it?
Actually, like giving out money to people, homeless people, to go get paid, go vote for their thing.
Well, I mean that would be voter fraud, would it not?
Yes.
Right.
Those are plenty of examples, and it's not just when Trump tells conservatives not to do voting ballots anymore. When all the voter ballots just happen to be suddenly, explosively Democratic. That supposedly that's how they got their votes at the last day or the last minute. All the time.
But the reason that the last minute votes are Democratic is because mail-in voters are predominantly Democratic, right?
No.
No, you don't think so?
It doesn't necessarily have to be.
Well, I'm not saying it necessarily has to be. I'm saying that's the general trend, right? Like, think about the kind of person that would want to mail in a ballot versus somebody that, on a work day or whatever it is, like, goes in to vote.
What about the guys that are out there, sir? That they have to do a mail-in ballot if that's where they live.
You said military people who are serving overseas?
Yeah, for example.
Yeah, but they make up less than the people who live in the United States who do mail-in ballots. That's the point.
Yeah, I'm just saying that is impossible to say.
Well, no, it's not. It's
would
not.
only be Democrats by the.
No, I don't agree that it's impossible.
There is a good reason why mail-in ballots.
I don't.
Part of it.
Well,
there is a way to regulate.
Well, okay. Let me put it this way. Well, let me put it this way. I don't remember what state it was. I think it was Arizona, but I have to double check. But I remember during 2020 when we were all waiting for the election results, right? We had one state that, as the votes got counted more and more, it kept leaning more and more red. But almost every other state got bluer during the vote counting process, right? You remember that, right? 2020 election. I don't remember exactly when. It was like 3 or 4 days into counting or whatever the fuck it was. But you remember, like, during the 2020 election, they were counting the mail-in ballots, right? Like, they were coming in later, kind of a thing, right? Well, the thing is, the state that got redder counted the mail-in ballots first and counted the in-person votes last. Every other state basically did it backwards. Like, first they did the in-person ballots, then they counted the mail-in ballots, because that's usually how states choose to do it.
Like the ones that had to get the mail-in ballots, they had to do it early, for example. They could have just been counted and cured and put away.
Well, I mean, you know, you can make an argument about which states count their votes better than others. I mean, Colorado, where I'm from, Colorado has been doing mail-in ballots for long before COVID, right? They counted their votes pretty darn quick, but then other states, like Nevada, for some fucking reason, are just really bad at it. But I mean, part of that was because in 2020, a lot of those states did mail-in ballots for the first time, so they didn't have a robust system for it. First and last time, probably, at least for a while, right? Because, you know, that was an emergency thing. Because of COVID.
They are nice if you cooperate.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that, like, most of the time that you have an ICE conflict, it's because somebody was directly being conflictory towards ICE or threatening or things like that, but at the same time... Yeah, at the same time...
What happened to Juan? Why would you run away in a car once you've been caught?
I fully agree that Renee... I fully agree that, like, Renee Good fled, like, you know, going back to, like, the Minneapolis stuff, I fully believe that Renee Good deserved to be shot. Like, she absolutely was a threat to the officer. She accelerated the car after she was told to get out of the car, all that stuff. His wife said, you know, get the fuck out of here or something like that, so, you know, like...
They asked her to get out of her vehicle because she was obstructing justice.
Yeah, because she was obstructing the road for, like, an hour or something,
like,
yeah.
No, I'm just gonna drive away. Whatever her choices was, she's reckless in the process.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. But on the other side of it, my personal view is that the deployment of ICE is unnecessary. Like, I think I don't disagree that a lot of the times that these conflicts happen because people are being, you know, insane and not really good towards cooperating with ICE or whatever else, which is what they should do.
But ICE isn't there for the protesters. ICE is there to deal with the illegal immigrants.
Correct. However, there's a right and a wrong way to deport illegal immigrants. And my point here, let me just explain. My point here is that I agree that you should deport illegal immigrants, first of all. Let me just start with that. Yeah. My point here, because, you know, I was about to say, Obama did it, exactly. My point here is that Obama did it in a way that wasn't a show of force. The reason Trump did it the way he did is because he wanted the show, right? Like, he wanted to show, hey, look, this is what I'm doing, everybody can see it, look at how much we're doing to get these people out of here right away. The problem with doing it, right, but the problem with doing it that way is it purposely invites conflict. It purposely invites externalities that he wanted, I would argue, that he wanted to happen for political reasons.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, go ahead. This. During Obama's time, Well, there were illegal immigrants, and they were getting deported in the way that they... Right?
Yeah.
What was the difference there between what Obama was doing compared to what under Biden's administration?
I'm moving this.
Obama versus Biden administration?
Yes, in comparison, what happened?
Biden didn't really deport people. That's the big difference.
And they just kept coming in, right?
Well, Biden had an open border policy, essentially, for the first couple of years, which was wrong. I don't agree with that.
Okay, but that's the point, right? It was wrong and this is never supposed to have happened. Okay.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I agree with that.
Logically, when something
Sure.
in excess, right? When something in excess.
Sure, I get the point. No, I get the. I understand. I get the point that there was an excess, and it's like, well, we have to match excess with excess. I disagree with that. I don't think that's the right way to handle policy. I think good policy is good policy, and bad policy is bad policy. So if you have a bad policy that's an open border policy, the correct response is a good policy that closes the border, that vets people in a way that's actually conducive to safety, that makes sure that the people who actually work to get here first, the people who have legitimate asylum claims, all that stuff, right? That's what I believe in. I'm the son of 2 immigrants, for the record.
Is this,
yeah, go ahead.
Is this in the form of having this done with how much bureaucracy?
Well, let me get to
there was just absolutely no bureaucracy during Joe Biden's situation. Okay. So.
Well, no, I agree with that.
At this form would be too inefficient to deal with the excess that existed right now.
Well, this is the point I'm trying to get to. The Obama administration.
That's the issue. It's unfortunate, but it might have been necessary.
My argument is that
I don't think anybody logically would have wanted to deal with this at the pace that we would normally do it, because it would take way too long.
But Trump is deporting less people less efficiently than Obama did, so I don't agree with that point. That's the point I was going to make.
Less efficiently because that there was distance?
Less efficiently in the sense that we have, well, 2 things. Less efficiently in the sense that we are deporting people less quickly than we were under Obama. That's the first thing. Right? Obama deported more people in I think his first term than Trump did in this term so far, right? I mean, in like the first 2 years or whatever. That's the first part of it.
How much pushback has there been now that there have been like sanctuary cities and everything else is trying to get in his way of trying to assert justice? Especially when it comes to the people that live there, trying to get that done themselves statewide. If it didn't even consider.
But the point that I'm making. Well, first of all, those sanctuary cities existed under Obama too, but Obama didn't just deploy ICE and say, well, we're going to go ahead and go in here and deport them anyway. That's a regional issue. The federal government should not be deciding what states and cities should do in that regard necessarily.
Yeah, those sanctuary cities at the time, right? They existed and they weren't prevalent to such a degree that they just had a massive city size just to take place. They were there for exceptional white people. For like refugees and everything.
Good night, everyone.